put your arms out like this and walk. You got to move with the gear. Watch for a second. Gears. Okay, if I push this way, Linden moves the other way.
Yes, and then we run into the
Find our way out.
Oh, you're okay.
The first 2 give me the day!
Too much heat.
First ball of the fall.
Let's try this again.
There is no
Okay,
road.
that went well.
You don't have to decide, you just have to feel. Sort of like Aiki. Okay. What does this feel like? Okay. Yeah, it is. Okay, let's do something a little bit more movement energetic. You okay? See if we can coordinate.
Huggy nugget.
Yeah, huggy nugget.
Huggy nugget.
Every, or,
Okay.
Hey.
mostly well. Oh, good morning.
Okay, let's broaden it a little bit to an outside strike as well. And do the same thing. Right. Outside, back in.
Okay.
Strike. Yes, nice.
You can go that way if you want. Don't break anything.
Are we warming up yet? Yes.
Nice.
And showman.
Show me things more sense, yeah.
Not only makes much sense at 8 in the morning. And it isn't really 8.
For some of us, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot of.
It looks like it. I think we can all do that together.
Yeah, good. Okay. And speed.
Oh,
Everybody punches
Oh.
up. Hi, Rob.
hey, good morning.
Here's a punch.
There goes Joe.
You heard of Aiki Extensions? Yes.
Yeah, it's not very good job.
Nobody can tackle me.
All right. Everybody on call.
And
Where, Robert?
get Brandon. And use him for a block. Okay.
I thought that was a question for
Stop for a
everybody.
second. We warming up a little?
I did.
Good, okay. What do you feel? What do you notice?
You do not feel sleepy anymore.
You do not feel sleepy, that's good.
I feel very circular.
Circular, good. And anybody else feel anything?
I feel my feet on the floor.
Good.
I'm falling short of perfection.
Well, that's a lot of
I guarantee that by the end of this, you will be nearly perfect. As you probably are already.
Flowy.
Flowy.
Flowy,
Yeah,
yes,
that's
yeah.
what I
Yeah.
wanted to start with.
And my space feels like it is big and inclusive, which is nice.
Grab and turn. We've done this before. Either hand, grab and turn. And everybody.
Chelsea does.
You have to turn it there.
Okay. What does it take to keep people moving? Maybe not. And I don't know.
Well, to turn in 2 directions at once.
What does it take to keep people moving?
Keeping the energy going.
Okay. That is
Non-stop.
time. Can you say it without an esoteric word for energy?
I'm so used to thinking about it that way.
Yeah, but what do you mean?
What do I mean?
Yeah, okay, watch. What am I?
You're not consciously considering.
I'm keeping it going and changing it. If I just keep it going, it feels good. So I'm taking his focus, changing it, and continuing to move. Does that encompass what you mean by keeping it well?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Let's keep going. Everybody.
Well, keep it going.
Ah.
Two at the same time is too many.
Yeah, I think that was this way. Oh, that was a good view.
Oh.
Photograph you, Brandon. There we go.
Okay. What angle leads to the most economical continuation of the movement? Does this, or
No.
does this, or this, or that? What is that coming in? You like to come up there, please. Do you know what I mean by economy? Okay. If I have to do that to get him going, that's too many movements. If I do this, it may not get him going well. If I do this, I'm taking into an orbit that you can feel like flow through. Do it. Again. Yes. I'm doing something different than I think you think I'm going to do. Okay. What am I doing now which allows it to work as opposed to now which doesn't allow it to work? Don't tell. Okay. Here I go. Right. Do an EQ and see what it feels like, and we'll puzzle out something like that, I hope. Please. Stop for a moment, please. What I would say, if I were going to say what I was doing, I'm not doing the technique outside of him. I'm going into his body to do the technique inside of him. You feel what I mean? You hold strong, you're pushing down. I can't ignore it, I can go with it. And once I've blended, see how I'm changing his back hip. And then I can take him down. If I do the technique outside of him, I run into a wall. Hold strong, don't let me move. If I go into his body, and then, what do I can do it? Yes. Yeah. You see what I'm doing to his far hip? Where are you doing? You're doing outside of me. Can you come into me? No, that's moving toward me. Are you coming into me? I don't think so. Let me show you what I mean. Okay. Lie down on your back. Maybe this is a good place to start. And body work, Aiki body work is great because you can learn things that apply on the mat. And what am I pushing on? Everybody come close, please. Right, okay. And now what am I pushing on? Yeah.
I think my spine.
Yeah, the opposite shoulder across here. Now if I go to the opposite shoulder there, you feel I'm pushing towards that hip.
Right.
Yeah. And I can push towards this hip. Or I could push your chest up. Or let's see. Let me see. Yes. Good. See, I'm moving his feet now. His other foot. You get it?
Yep.
I'm going into him. How many people push chains? Not many. But this is what we're doing. Starting with, and I start by pushing at the nearest joint. Then I go to the farther joint. I don't cut across. I go through the joint structure. Stand up, please. The more Aikido, but less obvious equivalent of this is head back, head forward. Right hip back, and left hip back. Butt back. Head back, forward. So I'm doing bending motion through the chain from link to link inside of them. Hold strong, please. Now, he is not neutrally holding strong, he's moving this way. Keep doing it, moving it more. Yeah. He's going that way. So I can go with it and yeah. Okay, now he's moving from there. Okay. And I don't have to stay here, I can move, but it's interesting. Okay, he, I think, is going that way. So if I were to do Ikkyo, I go with it, go into his body, through to his opposite shoulder, unweighting that hip, and then taking him down. If I do it outside him, what's your next move, sir? Yeah, he's going to kill me. If I go inside him. Okay. And I can't do it if I'm strong. Luckily, I'm not strong. Yeah. You see what I'm doing? Sort of. I'm taking him, letting him take me, and he wants something out of me. I can taste it. Okay, yes. He's going this way. They're not techniques for discussions. I could move sooner, but this is an interesting level. Okay. Back to the Ikkyo, and how are you going to do it inside somebody? You're outside. Have you ever eaten spaghetti with a fork?
Yeah.
Okay.
But.
Good. Stick the fork in my guts and twirl my guts up on it. Yes. Feel the difference? Okay. Now do it outside of me. That's him against me. I don't have any feeling that he thinks I'm going to be a problem. Twirl my guts on your fork. Yes. You feel your inside of me now. Right? Okay. Good jokes.
As a teacher, if, and I'm saying this with no implication on the rest of the company, but if you are doing the Aikido thing and you think there is a trauma history showing up,
Yeah.
because presumably trauma histories to trained eyes always show up.
Yeah, it does in some way. You want to report it to the proper, get them help that they need, because this isn't enough, but this is crucial.
How does it change the Aikido class is one question. I know. What you said before is absolutely true in terms of responsibility.
Yeah.
How does it change the Aikido class? How do you...
It doesn't,
Okay.
because that's not the contract. The contract is we're doing Aikido. And if somebody gets pitched into something much deeper, they can stay in the Aikido class if they can stand it. And you can give them special help to bring them more fully into the present. But you don't do this kind of work in an Aikido class because that's not the contract for the people who came.
Okay.
At least I wouldn't. And I'd also not do it until I was fairly sure there was some support system in place.
Okay.
Question. Does that answer?
It does, thank
Okay,
you.
good.
So I have a question for, about people who have either physical ailments or holding patterns. So you teach, put your hands there, sit like this, and then they sit and then they say, ow. Because,
Knees?
no, not necessarily, but let's say ow symbol here.
Okay.
And because they're changing what has, that they've adopted a posture that shields them from pain momentarily, even if that posture in the long run is
Right, yes.
suboptimal.
Okay,
Um,
and I'm
So-
interfering with that.
Right, exactly. And then at the moment, you're teaching them something that is, you know, probably going to be a better way of sitting, standing, or walking. But at the moment, it's interfering with their workaround.
Okay,
How do you approach that?
okay. Anybody here who's had very little Aikido? Okay. May I borrow you? And I'll give you that in a moment. Stand up, please. Everybody move away.
I also probably fit into the category that you're talking about, so that's,
So, what is the safety concept? You weren't here when I said it.
oh,
You
okay.
can stop
Sure.
at any point.
Okay.
And I will obey you.
Okay.
Okay. What, would it be okay if I pulled on you?
Mhm.
Okay. What are you doing?
I'm going into a hanmi
And
to
why?
anchor myself because it's a three-pointed and
Yeah,
it's.
but why are you trying to anchor yourself?
So I don't want to fall over.
Okay. So pull me.
Right.
Am I falling over?
No.
Okay. Is it less work that way? Yes.
Yeah.
Are you falling yet?
No,
Okay, why did you resist? Because you're human.
because I
Yeah.
perceive threats everywhere.
Okay, there are threads everywhere.
Yeah.
May I push on you?
Mm-hmm.
What do you feel when I do that?
A bump.
Okay. And does anything change in your breathing or your tension or anything?
I actually relaxed.
Okay. Okay. What are you doing? Let me see. Yeah. What did you do? Yeah, I know what will work. Yes. May I?
Sure.
They're clean. What did you do?
Like,
And what else?
and smile.
And what else? Anything change in your breathing or your...
I held my breath a little.
Why? Because you're being
Something
attacked
was
with a
coming at my
clearance.
face.
Okay. What did you do? Yeah, why? Because that's
Yeah,
what we do.
yeah.
We let your tongue hang loose, let the core hang loose, shine, be happy inside, feel your feet ready to move you. Yeah, good. What did you do that time?
Move with your next.
Okay, and did you stop your breathing?
I don't know what I did with my breathing.
Did you?
Yeah, I held it.
What did you do with your eyebrows?
That.
Okay, let everything hang and soften, okay? Yeah, there you go. Let it soften. Okay. That's it. How did that feel?
Much better.
Okay. What did you feel inside?
It's hard to articulate.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
If it were easy, we'd all be articulating it.
Right. I actually felt like I wasn't having to fight you, but I wasn't being taken advantage of.
Right. That's good, I guess. Okay, help me. Help me go where I want to go. Don't attack my hand with your shoulder,
Okay.
but help me go where I want to go. Help me go where I want to go. Yes. Okay. And move. Just move. Just move.
Good on.
Yeah. Move. Yeah. Turn. Right. Okay. Are you doing the 5 things, or as many of them as you can remember?
Not in that
Okay,
way.
it doesn't matter. Soften the core and shine. Okay, good. Yeah. Movement. Okay, hold me in. Move me somewhere. Yes. Good. Turn. Yes. Take me down. Yes. Okay. Turn. Move. Yeah, good. Doesn't matter. Just, are you happy?
Actually, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to choke you. Move. Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm going to get you from behind. I'm going to try. Yeah. Turn. Yeah. Okay. Take me down. Are you happy?
I am.
Are you standing up?
Yeah.
Turn. And take me somewhere. Yes. Okay. Right. Turn. Yeah. How do you feel?
I feel playful, which is something I very, very rarely experience.
Right. You're playing
Yeah.
with power and flow.
Yeah.
Think of your past history.
Yeah.
What happens in your body? Okay. Think of your past history and play with power and flow. Yeah, okay. Think of your past history and shine. Shine, shine, shine. Yes, go. Yeah, okay. Take me down, saw. Take me down, yes. Are you standing up? Feeling your hips?
Oh, kind of
Smiling?
like this.
Oh, walk, go away. Yes, go away, take me with you. Okay, are you playing yet?
Yeah.
Good, play more. Yeah, good, take me down. Yes, good. Dodge and take me down. Yes. Yes. Good. Yahoo! Yes. Okay, good. Yes. How do you feel?
Good.
And the past,
Rewiring.
yeah, the past history,
Different.
in what way?
There's an opening.
Right.
Right.
And-
Like something that feels like a wall that I
Yeah.
can get through feels like there's an opening.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's huge.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
The point is, trauma always involves powerlessness of some kind. Okay? If you weren't powerless over it, you'd have kicked it and run. So your association to past history is powerlessness.
Yeah.
And that is a self-reinforcing loop,
Yeah.
a devil's loop.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You're relating to the past history from a place of solidity, openness, and fun. That fries the connection between the stimulus and the old response.
Yeah.
When you do this, you'll eventually, when you think of your past history, it'll be like an alarm waking you up to your present power. Yeah, what did you just do with your breathing?
I don't know. Maybe I held it a little bit.
No, you breathe.
Did I breathe?
Did you see her straighten
That
up?
was like,
I went like that. Yeah. I opened my body.
Yes.
Yeah.
Think of your past history and open. Yeah, that's weird, isn't
It
it?
is weird.
Okay, keep going. Yeah, yes. Thank you. She's pretty good. You see what I mean? It's what I call frying the words. You take the old stimulus, you break the connection, and you substitute for it something that works and that feels better and is life-affirming. Now, you couldn't have done that when you were little, but you're not little anymore. Okay. Questions, comments, thoughts? I'm drawing on an open angle. I think it works differently than if I close the angle and then have to do something. Blocking the pieces there. What am I doing before?
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Here. Two on. Keep going. Two on. Keep going. Are you controlling?
Back up. I would say maybe not.
Okay. Then relax as long as you can't do it. Just go away. One. Body answer. But I think it's in between.
You're taking balance.
Yes.
Whoa.
Here. The more you can take balance, then here.
Yeah.
I think. Here. What is fate? What is fate?
An enticement for
This is great.
whatever you want.
What am I doing? Baiting. I'm baiting you. Here. Can you keep your vertical center? Yeah. Here. And Brandon. Just hold this for a second.
Thanks.
If I go here, I entice them to go around the corner. You know what I mean? And right here, the corners aren't reaching around. If I go here, it's different. Where it's going. We can get it bigger and smaller. But what you're wanting is, what I'm wanting is, to control them without strength. Because, hold on, if I use what strength I've got, it won't work. If I relax, something will happen. So, here. Away from the camera.
Yeah.
You can do all kinds of fun things if you do it with an open angle. Does that make sense?
Could you demonstrate the open angle really slowly versus the,
This closes the angle. Assuming it's a narrow thing that we're creating. Okay. And this is an open angle. From here, I could do this, or that, or that, or any number of things. But from here, it's much less mobile for me. I could do things, of course, but here gives me the opportunity to do things.
You do close the angle.
What I'm working on currently is your comment that I was supplying extra energy to
Yeah.
make something happen. And I think we all do. Do any technique, whatever. Here's the plan. Now, what do I do?
We don't know.
What do you do? You throw me down.
Yeah.
There has to be some energy supply.
Yeah.
I guess the other part is I don't practice techniques as such. I read the skeleton and take the person with it. Okay. Now, what's happening right there? Can you see what listen again, do just like Rob. You see he's doing something right over here. Hold strong. Yeah, you see this muscle in here? Now, I can do that. Be not drop.
I don't know how to successfully follow that.
Just do something unusual. Yeah, okay. Now,
That
I
actually makes
can't
more
throw
round.
easily through here. Do that again. Yeah, do that. Feel?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's do something very peculiar. Now, straight up. Keep on. Where am I going?
Where your head goes.
Yeah, and where was my head
You
going?
drop your right ear to your right shoulder.
Take advantage of that. Yeah.
you were being wrong?
No, I was being Paul.
Can you rewind a little bit to where you said that you see the muscle in the shoulder, I didn't see at all what was going on.
Okay. Where's my balance? This way. Take me.
The theme is read the body.
Yes. We're doing everything except noticing me. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
I felt you going out away from me.
Where am I going? No, that's not precise enough.
Come forward.
From what part of my body?
Head.
Your
Nose.
head again. Okay, take my head forward. That's backward. Yeah. Where am I going?
You go back.
Yeah, that's good. And now. Why are you fighting? Because you're human.
Yeah.
Because you're human.
Maybe.
Relax. Relax. Where am I pushing it?
There,
No, on what part of my body?
You're going forward.
On what part of your body?
on my shoulder.
You should do what I want to do. Yes. Does that make any sense at all? Let's start with this. Okay, decide where you want to take it. And make it more or less visible. Okay. And I will go there. Decide where you want to take it. Okay. And I will go here. Feel why?
That felt correct, yes.
Take your son, right? Okay.
That felt good.
So Paul, you're,
What's that? You feel like you're doing here. If I got the angle wrong, that's what I think.
you're particularly good at reading the structure
Yeah.
that you see in front of you. Can you articulate what you're looking for?
No, but I can teach you the feeling.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this. You have to volunteer. What direction do I want to move through this?
You're not moving right, it's good.
No, but I'm wanting to, and you just did it. What
Oh.
direction? Yes. Okay, what direction do I want to move through this?
Yeah, this way.
And now, almost up toward your chin. And now, yes. Okay. Be strong, be manly, Stanley. Okay, if you're soft, you can feel. Hey, where do I want to go now? Yes. Okay. And now, all right. Don't raise your shoulder. Yes. Okay, can you take that into a technique? Not the technique you think of, but the technique my
Your body is
does.
asking for it.
Yes, exactly.
You seem to want to go this way.
Yeah, okay, good. And now, yes. And now, you're thinking technique.
I'm thinking, well, no, I'm thinking throat and breathe.
Yeah, well, just
That's right, yeah. But
where do I want to go? Kind of straight against me. Where do I want to go?
you're feeling that
Yes.
down the back, okay.
Okay. You don't even need to take my hands off you if you're coming down. Yes. Does that make sense?
That
No,
makes
no.
much more sense.
Stop for a second. One way of thinking about this is when she grabs, if I do this, a little bit much? Not much. If I do this, don't move as much as I can. Let your own fingers. There. Have I moved her much? Okay, I can do all kinds of things, but I'm not controlling it. If I move an inch, her hips ought to move an inch. Okay, so I can go that and that. And from static it's harder, but yeah. What's wrong with your hand? Okay. Yes. What did I do? I drew her awareness. Okay. If I just try that, I'm creating trajectories for my attacker. Okay, if I do that, okay, yeah, see, you follow it. Okay. He's big, you look strong, I'm gonna be careful. Yeah, there we go. Do it inside of me. Yes. Could you see him enter me? Yeah, it was nice having you in there, sir. Okay, good. You feel this?
Mhm.
Excellent. Yeah, right. Okay. This is not the only way to do Aikido. There's a million ways to do Aikido. This is one way that I like. So, questions? Go back to the Ikkyo maybe. Try it, please.
Try this maybe in this area.
Push with this, not with that.
Oh.
Yes. If we do the technique on page 42, he may be on page 43, and that's not the direction it needs. What I'm feeling is here. Feel this? Strengthen this spot. Now I can't go there, but I can go here. Yeah. I need to think of technique at 42. But, yeah. You see what he did?
He was pulling that way, so I went that way and tried to keep posture, and then he fell.
Do you want me to do this to you?
No,
Wrong answer.
Two answer, I think is wrong.
You want me to do this to you? What am I doing?
You're physically ready to do an armbar, but I'm trying to.
So help me do the armbar. Yes. How does that work?
Well, it did work well.
You do the armbar. Go with it. A little stronger, but not sudden. Okay, if this goes up, then I have to take it down. He's going up here, out here. If I refuse to go up, I'm not satisfying any of his needs. If I go here, he's got what he wanted here. Now he's getting something down there, and he's changed. So your eerie techniques. Okay. Does this make sense as a practice?
Yes.
It underlies everything I do.
It makes a lot more sense than it is easy to do.
Yes, it is very easy after many years of being very difficult. So work with somebody at whatever level they are, you're all pretty advanced. Don't do techniques. They may happen, given what I'm trying to do, when he accepts it and changes it. But just start off with either this, physical object leaning, or what's my relationship to God?
Well, it looks sort of like a fear face.
Yeah, exactly. I thought he would be an easy target, and then he gets sent and says, oh shit, you wanna. Then I go, oh my God, I shouldn't have done this one. And I will be vulnerable to that particular movement. If I grab him and he gets scared, I say, oh great, victim. And I go forward. It's a discussion, it's a dialogue, not a repeated technique. Does that make sense? Try it and see how you can do it.
But if you take if you go in the direction he is wanting to go, and you take his center,
Yes.
you can then take him, then you have more options as to
Right.
what
yeah.
you can do with it.
Exactly. And you have a question?
No, I guess it just makes it easier.
Sure, we're doing Aikido. We go
Yeah.
with people instead of
Yeah.
against them. Let's try something. Stand on the side of the line. Don't let me pull you over the line. Ah, good.
I've seen the video. But I really wanted to stop you, but I was like, no, oh, that I remember.
Yeah. Our nature is to resist.
Yeah.
And I've done this with Yudansha, Aikido Yudansha around the world. Nobody's not.
I can do it correctly, by the
No,
way.
it's not correctly, it's just human. Nobody who hasn't seen my videos or me has ever failed to pull back. I say, you're an Aikidoist. I say, yeah. And I say, did I say not to cross the line?
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't say not to cross the line. It's over there,
Yeah.
the watch, it'll stop in a moment. It's noon, but not really. Don't cross the line. That's a different.
Right.
Don't let me pull you across the line. So, we're hardwired to resist, and that's why Aikido exists, to teach us not to resist. And if you can be safe in non-resistance, eventually you don't want to kill the sucker going to get therapy. Okay, try
That'd be
that.
nice.
Is that because you can't bill for killing them?
I can't feel anything, I'm not a therapist.
Excellent.
Let your tongue hang loose. Is that different? In what way?
Yeah, it helps me not freeze.
Let your throat hang loose. Yes.
And then I freeze again, so
Let's
yeah.
give you the next move. Let yourself soften. Let yourself soften. Let it go. That's it. Resistance. Backhand.
Back in? What, oh.
This way. Float. Yes. Yeah, right. That's resistance.
Yep.
Yes. Throw me somewhere.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
That was lovely. What did you do and how did you do it?
Well, I was able to get back to being, feeling more kindly towards you versus.
That's the next exercise after the softening.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, anybody else?
Yeah, we could see a dramatic change between, oh, you hit me, now I'm going to do something, to thank you for hitting me.
Right. That's not necessarily the only way to do anything, but it's an interesting practice. And where do you want to take me? Don't tell me to think of some direction. Yeah, you feel yourself going that way? Did you see it? Okay, so this is pretty obvious. And this, static on that hand. No. Yes. How can you go there without losing your own balance? Yes. Good. Where do I want to go? No. Where am I trying to push you? This way? No, almost. I'm going around your back.
Oh, okay.
Feel? No. Relax. Just go with it. Yes. And there's your throat. And now we're going up. Don't let me take you there. You go there on your own terms. Don't bend. Stand up. Be happy. And walk away. And walk that way. Yes. Is that? Show me. What do you think?
I feel a very sort of loose, whoops, that's where I'm going.
A bit hard. That's a block. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. And then up. Once I fall down, if you give me a chance, I'll try to stand up. Yeah.
Yeah, I can feel the difference.
Okay. Soft. Yes. And throw me somewhere. That. Show me. Down. And then you go up at a certain point. Yes. Yeah. Bounce a ball. Bounce. Bounce. And this.
I'm gonna give Paul a big hug.
Take my head off. You can-
Okay.
it'll-
Or just give him a
it'll be
big hug.
good on your mantelpiece. Yes. You ride the rhythm of the ball. You ever see anybody bounce and then ride their rhythm, or do you ride the rhythm of the
Rhythm of
ball?
ball, yeah.
Yes. How's that? Doesn't take effort.
Nowhere near as much.
Rhythm technique as a technique. Now you're trying to impose your will on me. Yeah. Just let me be happy. Yeah. Yeah, right. Okay. Let's sit for a second. This is probably a different kind of exercise than most people are used to.
but he's very happy sort of experiencing, and so it's fun to experiment with. But I'm also left easily distracted from, you know, the part of me that's trying to do this, trying to like execute the, you know, turning of the spaghetti,
Okay, yeah.
you know.
Well, okay, let's work with that. Yes. What do you do when I drag you here? Just relax. There you go. Now take it over. This is a very good exercise for beginners because when you smack them, their mind goes right there. Grab and smack. Where's my mind? Such as it is.
You did seem completely unfazed.
Yeah, well, not completely, I'll be perfect. Yeah, thank you. Okay. What do I do next? I don't know.
Yeah, you just sort of let my energy dissipate.
Yeah, and if I needed to throw you, you know,
Then
here, there, or something. Yeah. You just ride it. It's better than having to remember. Okay, let's see. Okay. I'm using slide through, step, and turn. Yeah, it's easier to throw more than once to go than to do technique. Does that?
Yes.
Okay, great. They're both necessary. Without techniques, you have no vocabulary. With only techniques, you're walking down the street in Paris and somebody says something to you. You say, bonjour, je m'appelle Paul, comment allez-vous? Because that's what you did in French class. It doesn't work that way. It's a discussion. Other observations.
The less I thought, the easier it was.
Yeah, well, I always think, and don't think too sometimes. It's fun thinking. If you think about something interesting, that's per se. I don't think I've ever tried this. You grow flowers of any sort?
Yes.
Okay, tell me what flowers you grow. Throw me. Don't push, just throw. Tell me, turn. Now what? You're not telling me about the flowers. Tell me about the flowers. Yes, that's
I'm not
it.
very happy this year.
Okay, my flowers weren't either. Okay, yes. Good, keep talking about the flowers. Relax.
Pretty and
Relax,
attached to the buttons,
relax,
lilies.
yes, okay. How does that feel?
It was really hard to be doing both things.
Yeah, it is hard.
Yeah.
And if it weren't hard, it would be easy.
I'm-
Okay, volunteer, Bob. Okay.
You volunteered.
My vegetable garden this year has been doing pretty well. Last year when I planted garlic, I got back less than I planted. But this year, with all the traveling I've been doing, I have vast quantities of garlic and even vaster quantities of crabgrass. Crabgrass is crappy grass. Okay. Yeah, it's dumb but fun.
So what I saw, I don't know if this is helpful, I usually should just not talk. So, but when you said your flowers were doing really well, like the first thing you said, it was a really pretty, beautiful Aikido move, and then as soon as you started talking about crabgrass, you were kind of beating Bob up a little bit in a very martially effective way.
Yeah, that's possible. I didn't notice that. Did you notice it?
I did not.
Okay. Maybe it's true and maybe it isn't. Or maybe both. Okay, thank you. But you should be able to walk and talk and throw people on the ground and talk as well.
It's hard for me to imagine being able to do that.
Well, you don't have to imagine it. I think you mean it's hard for you to imagine you're doing that.
Yes.
Well, that's true. You should say, thank you. One time we had a karate.
I was just, the thought was I would look really foolish trying to do Aikido.
That's good. I look foolish all the time. It doesn't hurt me much. I had a karate sensei come and study with me for a while. And he was saying, "Uss." And finally I said, look, you can say that it's not Aikido, but "Uss, sensei, baby." And he said it once and fell down on the floor giggling. Then he was an Aikidoist. So, I don't know why that's relevant. Tell me something. Okay, and don't push it. You are making my distraction, don't push. What kind of things do you're pulling? There, now you're not pulling. Turn, don't pull. Yes. And what kind of things do you grow?
Tomatoes,
Okay, get tomatoes or moldy tomatoes.
very good tomatoes.
That's good.
Famous.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay. Did you do it a little?
A little.
Okay, then you don't have to imagine it anymore. Thank you. Okay. Anything else? I've got a million things that we could do.
And-
Let's do some riddles.
Can I toss something in?
Sure.
Watching him over time and and working with my students, there's gradations of everything, right? More threat, less threat, harder, softer, and all that sort of thing. And a lot of the time, if I just make them, I also teach musical theater, and if I make them sing row, row, row the boat over and over and over again, they don't have to think about what they're doing, but the fact of doing something else allows the body to kind of just body, as Bob Nadeau would say.
That's
So,
good.
yeah, so you could have recited a piece of poetry that you know, or sung the first line of a hymn, or it could be anything.
Well,
Do you think of it in terms of left brain, right brain stuff?
When I'm thinking about it, I think about it that way. But when it's in the whole package category, you get the body, you get the mind, you get it all together. You can start in move more slowly, move more quickly. You can change anything as long as you're changing things on purpose.
Yeah.
The brain is doing other things other than worrying about how am I going to defend myself.
Do you think, and maybe both of your experiences, is it helpful or useful to change the narrative between something positive that you're talking about versus something negative?
Yes. I think that's what I do when I say adopt the positive. Think of something that makes your heart smile. I'm not doing it in a verbal narrative change, but I am doing it in a physiological change, which I experience as more precise and more direct.
So if you're talking about how much you love your crabgrass, that would be a different experience than how bad your crabgrass was treating
Yes,
your garden?
it would.
So, I noticed when you asked us to think of something positive, when I thought of it in verbal terms, it wasn't doing much good. I had to think of it in picture terms.
Right.
I had to visualize the baby.
Somebody coined the phrase feel-image, not an image. Okay, anything else? Let's do some riddles. You're big and strong. I'm going to use you for a bit. Okay. I usually start off workshops with the public with these things because you'll see why. Take a strong stride stance and push on your shoulders. Sure. Resist. Okay. Now raise your eyebrows. And what happens?
I lose my balance.
Why?
Because I'm not going to make sense.
No, that's too abstract and theoretical. Again, try it. What are you doing when you raise your eyebrows? Raise your eyebrows. And what changes in your body?
Fine.
Maybe. When do people raise their eyebrows? And what, were you afraid? No. But if you fire off a piece of the reflex, the whole reflex comes in. Raise your eyebrows. Yeah, there you go. And your body says, I must be afraid of something. Let's go backwards. Okay. Another one. Count out loud. Nice and clear. Loud.
1, 2, 3, 4,
No, Mom.
5.
1, 2, 7, 8. Okay. Why does that work?
Because I lost conviction.
You guys are so
I'm not getting any of this right, am I?
What changed in your body and why? Everybody stand up, please. And if you have been an angry bunny rabbit, you're crunching at your nose and walking around like an angry bunny rabbit. Do it, please. Okay. Now, pay attention to your feet, you angry bunny rabbits, and let your nose hang loose. Has anything changed in your feet? What?
But it feels softer.
Yeah, softer and more perceptive.
Yep.
Okay, stand, stride stance, count out loud, nice and clear.
1, 2,
No,
3, 4.
It's the same thing, when you slacken the muscles up here, everything around your body is slackened. Okay, let's try another one. Anybody else want to try these? Okay, please, okay. Let me Sweet and loud.
1,
1,
2, 3, 4,
lean forward.
5, 6,
No, no.
7, 8.
When you mumble, you slacken these muscles and the whole web gets slack. Okay. Anybody else want to try? I like to put it on big people because it's obvious. Okay. Big person. Okay, take a stride next. And say, fish live in the water.
Fish live in the water.
Push, push,
Fish live in the water.
push. Now say, fish live in trees.
Fish live in trees.
What happens?
I wasn't, yeah.
And why?
When I was
Telling a lie. Yeah. The body doesn't like lies. Okay, so that's somebody else.
And also, they all seem to do something to change your focus.
Yes, but that's not what's happening.
That's-
I'll show you.
What?
So do it again. Okay, now do this with your hands. Okay, does that change your focus?
It does, yeah.
But does it weaken?
No.
Now say fish live in trees.
Fish live in trees.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
wanted to believe it more. Like, they do live in trees.
But you wouldn't
I've seen it.
Yeah, you wouldn't say it that way if you did believe it. It's not the focus, it's not the energy, that's all kinds of mystical stuff. It's the physiology, the muscles don't do things the same way. Okay, let me try a couple others. I don't remember this list of these things. Yes. Okay. We did this at the beginning, but we'll do it again. Get angry and watch me walk around. How do I look when you're angry? And let go of the anger and look at me. Do I look different when you're angry? In what way?
The eyebrow looked menacing, and then it looked quizzical.
Yeah, but I didn't change. You
No,
changed.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right,
The
that's
eyebrow
point.
looked exactly the same,
But you made it seem different. Okay. Anything else? Anybody not feel that or something else?
Yeah, I was judging how you were walking versus saying, hey, is Paul walking?
Right. Yeah. Okay. So if you perceive through enemy lenses, everything you see will look like an enemy. That's no way to make peace or heal trauma. Okay. Okay, one that I do all the time. Do you want me to hit you? Wrong answer. Do you want me to hit you? Wrong answer. Do you want me to hit you?
The answer is yes, please.
Yes, please.
What does that answer do in your body? Anything?
Well, I felt myself preparing for something.
Okay. Show me your preparation. Show me what you did.
It was sort of like,
Okay.
I pulled myself back.
Okay. Yeah. Do something. Yeah. Don't just stand there. I'm going to crush your throat. Yeah. Now, prepare. Get ready. See? What you're preparing for is getting hit. Not preparing for not getting hit. But this is what we do. And let go. And do you want me to hit you?
Yes.
Yeah, good. Very nice. You see why I asked for yes? Because if you say no, you know what the hey! You know what that word is and means? What? Yes. You ever see anybody go, maybe? It doesn't work that way. It's not efficient. Okay. Questions? You see what I'm getting at? I do these riddles when I do work with non-Aikidos because it makes it very obvious that the body has certain ways of working and certain ways that don't work. And we mostly in our culture emphasize the ways that don't work. Why? I wouldn't care to speculate. Yes.
Question, what do you do with a room full of dissociated people?
You don't. I never work with this rooms full of dissociated, traumatized people. One at a time, or 3 or 4, but I'm gathering you have 20 or 30, eh?
very clear worst case scenario.
Yeah, I have a different answer to that, is that we're always working with rooms full of dissociated people.
Yeah, right. Well, there
It's
is
just a question of how much
Right.
and in what ways.
My question is, when you do these riddles and, you know, that you don't get the answers you're looking for. You're getting, oh, this doesn't make a difference. Oh, no, I thought about something else and that changed it. So they're not
on the page.
right.
You work with what they give you. I'll give you an example. I had a client come to me, sent by a therapist, because no matter what he was talking about, he'd say, how do you feel about that? He'd say, nothing. How did you feel when your brother did that? Nothing. So finally, in desperation, after 6 months, I pulled a knife on him. I said, what did you do? He said, nothing. I looked at you holding a knife, and I poked him with the knife slightly, and said, what did you do with your eyebrows? Took him on a tour of his body, and finally I did that. And I said, what did you feel when you did that? Nothing. So I did that, and he said, my God, it looks like you're scared to death. And then he said, I must have been scared, but I didn't notice it. That was the beginning of productive work with him. I don't normally pull knives on my clients, but if necessary. But what you do, you have to find out what the dissociation is for. What are they not feeling? And give them a better, less costly way of managing the feeling. Then they can afford to give up the dissociation.
This happens with executives too all the time, because they're significantly dissociated from whatever is causing the problem, otherwise they'd be solving it. And so if you take it out of them, he noticed, the guy in the story noticed that this was what happened when it happened over there. And consultants do this all the time. If this were a problem that someone else were having, what would you, I have this friend who, and as long as they can dissociate and put it over there, they can start working over there and it creeps its way back over here. Because they eventually everybody realizes they're talking about themselves.
Yeah.
As long as the work has long enough chance to go on. Yeah.
Good. That's a nice answer. I've never done that, I don't think, but I'll steal it.
It's one of the purposes of acting in public performance. So it happens over there. And I can go, oh, about it at whatever level I can get it.
What, and I'm trying to say this without bringing the actual politics into it, but if you had a room of the sorts of people who this particular election find themselves voting for the guy, or wanting to vote for the guy, how do you address that energy?
I'll show you. Let me think. Okay. Take a stride stance, please, sir. May I push on your shoulders?
You may.
Okay. I want you to say, in this country, we strive to overcome diversity and function together.
Strive to overcome diversity?
Okay? And say, I think all of them should be killed or sent back home.
I think all of them should be,
What happened? Be very strong.
I felt pushed over much more easily.
Now, I don't know that that would happen with one of them, but I suspect it would. But get me a calf and the bells and the dress. I'll be the court jester to the election and see whether it works.
Bells and Motley.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I rarely get a chance to put I've never gotten a chance, that's very rare, to put my hands on a psychopath. I don't know how this would change with them, but I don't know. Get me a couple, I'll tell you. But what I would do is try to bring it back to the body. When you say they should all be shipped home, what happens? Can you say that and your body stay loving and strong?
I'm guessing not, but
I don't know. I'm
Not
guessing.
But he also didn't do it very well for the first statement.
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
I was
Unclear.
I was questioning the logic of whether it was a trick question of trying to say,
Or if it was possible, or if it was.
I mean, overcoming diversity.
Right.
What is that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Make
That would be
America
just part of
great.
the sentence.
Yeah. I wasn't meaning anything in
Yeah.
particular. Okay. You see what I do? I try to find not the verbal, psychological, philosophical, religious, etc. in the body. When you do that, does it work to stabilize you or destabilize you? And you have a choice to make. Do you want to be strong or do you want to be hateful? You can't do both. You can hit people if you need to, but you never should hate them. I had a client sent to me by a magistrate downtown. Didn't even know this guy, knew my work. The guy comes in, he's bigger than I am, he's about 17, and he says, I'm not really comfortable unless I've got somebody down on the ground kicking in the head with my steel-toed boots. So what would you say if your client makes that announcement right off the bat?
What's it like?
Okay, what else?
What happens next?
I said, let me see your kick. And I said, that's no kick. I can teach you to kick harder than that with less effort. And he said, what? And so we did. But at a certain point, I had him do a meditation on kindness because he could feel that it freed up his body. When he hated, he put it was like riding with the parking brakes on. So I said, I'll teach you to kill with one good kick, but you gotta be kind and loving, respectful and free. And for the purpose of killing, he was willing to practice that. What I didn't tell him was that by the time he got it, he wouldn't want to kill anybody anymore. He didn't ask me, so I didn't tell him. Give the client what they are trying for in a way that's less costly than what brings them to you. And that's what Aikido is about, I think. It's not about throwing people on the ground. For me, it's about learning to communicate and be centered when you do. Is there anything inherently wrong?
Are we done?
Is there anything inherently wrong about attacking with an idea of a specific injury you want to cause? You're not just waving your hands in the air. You're coming in to do something to the person.
I think it short circuits what we would like the experience to be.
In what sense? For whom and what?
So if I'm going to move, and this is, I feel like I'm really applying or projecting my own feelings on this, but if I want to get to a point where I'm comfortable enough to move circularly and blending and all that good stuff, I have to change my perception so that my body will move that way.
As the defender?
As the, yes.
Okay.
And if I really know, and they really have the intention to make me have a stroke, me getting over that enough to work on what we want the benefit to be is a really big hurdle.
No, it's by working on that you get the benefit, that I get the benefit. You know what I mean?
You would assert that that's how you do it.
Yes.
That's fine.
If I come in with a non-strike, do I get any benefit of dealing well with an attacker who is not attacking hard? I can deal well with people with that much energy. But then she comes in with a real attack, and I haven't practiced that. So I have to, unless you're vastly smarter than I am, which you may be. It took me 50 years to figure this stuff out. You'll be faster, I'm sure. She really attacks. I do something, and without that intensity, when she does it, I stop. Okay. With the intensity, and the intensity isn't just physical speed. What do you want to hurt and how when you attack? What do you want to do?
I want to split you in half.
Okay, can you? With your hands?
Probably not.
Okay, probably not. Then have a specific injury that you could accomplish slowly. What do you want to do?
Get the neck.
Okay, slowly do it. Yeah, it's very different than if she's just coming in order that I can practice. Do it hard. Yeah. Do I get hard in return again?
No.
What is that? Did I get hard instead?
No.
Okay, I could. Very slowly. Yes. Ooh. Oh, that hurts. Yeah. I'm just welcoming it. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Keep you off the tripod. If I intend to deal with that level of intensity, sometime I have to receive it to practice. Yeah.
I think, the value of authentic attacks for the person practicing the technique and weight in the face of those attacks is clear. One of the challenges is that in sort of in terms of like the feed the wolf parable,
Yeah.
what does it do to me to think about the bones I'm crunching and the tendons I'm severing, and like, I'm not happy in that mental space. I'll watch, Sherlock Holmes did this where you saw in his head these various bad guys surrounding him and the different body parts he was going to pulverize them in whatever way. And I think it even had a little explanation of what each one was meant to do in terms of tactical advantage. And I can watch that movie and sort of, juice up on whatever the, body chemistry is when you're seeing that and kind of getting into it. But I don't want to, I'm not happy when I'm in that space, which, maybe why I don't go out looking for street fights.
I mean, I think I struck with intent, but I didn't strike with hate.
Exactly.
I struck neutrally and also out of a desire to be helpful.
Yes. And the question is, if you practice these 5 things or Tully's 4 rules or anything else, can you generate power for a strike without hatred, without putting your body into that state? And yes, you can if you practice.
No, and I think I do. I just don't know whether that's actually hard. I'm not sure how well I did that a long time ago when I was a new student.
Yeah.
And
it is hard, but if you're aware of it, and I don't force beginners to do all of this stuff, I feed them small chunks, but if you're coming in slowly with some awareness, that's an okay practice and it will get more intense as you go. But if you don't like the feeling, then don't have the feeling, but just do the strike.
Even at an advanced level, there's a mind-body thing going on.
Yeah, sure. And there is, what is it?
That you want to be helpful, but you don't want to hurt.
Yeah.
That somehow that's encoded in your body.
Yeah, sure. That I agree. I'm going to pull my strike if they're not responding correctly. But if I don't give them a strike, they have nothing to respond to. And it isn't making myself hateful. I said have an intent to hurt. I didn't say hate or dislike. Let's try something, I'll show you what I mean. Pen, pencil somewhere?
A what?
A pencil.
There.
This'll do. Okay. Everybody stand up, please. This is a magic pencil. With that pencil, anything you write will come true. Look at it and want it. What happens in your body? Anybody lean forward? Okay. That is the interface between the intention and the movement. That small muscular change. This is the basis of everything that I'm doing. In what way? What I'm training is my perception of intention. Strike, please. Okay. I am intending in what direction? Not toward her only, but all around me. This, when she strikes, will make me focus my attention right there, and then she kills me with the other hand. So what I'm really trying to do is move and keep my intention shining, so there's a wholeness to it. Thank you. So nice. I'm not trying to hurt somebody. I'm trying not to, even though I have the intention to hit in a way which would hurt. If she blows it, I pull my attention, the intention of my fist. I understand. It's a question. It's a very important question. What does this do to the Uge? The practice of the intent to hurt. As far as I can tell, nothing, because it's a fake intention. I don't really want to hurt anybody.
I feel it though, and I'm going to comfortably just disagree and then
Okay.
say that. But I mean, I can totally feel as soon as you say I'm going to give you a stroke, I can feel that all the way through the ground.
In your
And I
body?
can, absolutely.
Oh,
And for me
sure.
to tell me that's fake is nearly
No,
impossible.
I didn't say that was fake. I said my intention to hit you is a fake intention.
But if you say, come with the intention that I'm going to strike as if I was going to give you a stroke because that's what it is doing, I can feel that I can feel that desire, which is
As uke or nage?
as uke, and I can very easily
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
and imagine and visualize immediately that act of violence by
Right.
you asking me to do that.
So don't do that act of violence. The violence is in the feeling, not the action.
Or it's in the, okay, again, so I disagree, and I think that's
Okay,
fine.
you're welcome to disagree.
Because if I want to paint a beautiful line all the way across this room, I can do that with no problem. And I can give you the feeling of me coming to strike your head off.
Yeah.
But because I'm painting that line instead of striking your head, I don't have that response with it.
And what are you going to do as defender when somebody on the street comes up and really wants to hurt you? You won't be used to that.
True, but if we can so that again, so I'm going to, because we could do that for a long time. If that's helpful, that's great. And if it's just me disagreeing
No, it
for
isn't.
myself,
It's a
then-
crucial question you're
Yeah.
raising.
I really work with it personally as commitment. I was talking with you about that, where I really feel like I can come in very, very strongly, but instead of it being about injury or violence, because that's really distasteful to me, it's a commitment to you.
How do
Well,
you,
I mean, the dojo in the sensei creates a space in which these things that would otherwise be very uncomfortable and untenable and social and criminal are okay.
Sure, but so I feel this is the place where I feel probably the most like welcome and loved almost anywhere.
Yeah.
And as soon as you ask me to do that, I am ready to do all kinds of other things because of what you're asking for me to embody.
okay, and I'm suggesting that that's because you're just beginning this practice.
Okay.
If you keep, okay, can you feel kindness toward me?
Mhm.
Okay, hit me and feel the kindness at the same time.
Well, I would have to be doing something else.
What do you mean?
Well, I could draw a line just like that and have this pass
Hit me
through.
and feel kindness as you do.
I can't do that.
Okay, yet, if you practice, you will.
I can hit them feeling kindly. Not very hard.
I would argue that you're not hitting them there.
Yeah, I think that's a great
And I can totally intend to make a big X across
Yeah.
you.
Would somebody
within-
on the street try to make
Wait.
a big X?
I feel like I was hitting Brandon with kindness.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I'm learning.
And like I
how
said,
much.
this
Yeah,
is
so-
my
no,
disagreement, so it
it's
doesn't have to
interesting.
be our
It's
conversation.
interesting.
I have one more piece to add, and that is, having been in punching and kicking arts before and sparring and that sort of thing, we're not taught to hate and then punch somebody. The whole point of combining Zen and karate, for instance, is that you're doing what you're doing with equanimity, and it's not learning to be a sociopath if it's not learning to be a sociopath, because you stop when you're going to hurt somebody. And if you're sparring with somebody else, they're wearing pads, they're not, you're playing with them, when it's actually competition. And if you at some point feel that come up, it becomes I'm going to get them, that you have to stop at that point,
Yeah.
because it's not the thing anymore. So you don't have to hate somebody to give them a really, really good attack, a flurry, a series of attacks, to play the game of how far can I push you, because that person can always say, I'm done. And you stop right away.
Like I said, I think that's a different narrative, because I know that this is training, and you are trained to make this a safe interaction.
Yeah.
And therefore, I'm comfortable striking in a way that if I hit someone else, I know I would break them in half. And so having a narrative of something where I know that I'm not going to give you a stroke because I know you're going to move, and I know that I'm moving in a way that helps you move in a certain way, is a totally different narrative than really focusing on the intent to cut you in half.
Yes, that's quite true.
And likewise, the guy on the street who is trying to punch this nose right here, as long as I recognize that if my nose is not there, the narrative is very different, that still creates safety.
What do you mean narrative?
So if the narrative, so I think we play out as actors a narrative, and if the
What
narrative,
do you mean by narrative?
the storyline,
Okay.
the cause of my action is going to be you having a stroke. So if I
What do you
play
mean?
the yokeman,
That's the
you said
narrative.
the yokeman,
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
that's the cause, your strike is the cause of his stroke.
right?
You said it the other way around.
Yes.
Well, maybe that's
You
true
said
too,
his
but
stroke
yeah.
was causing you to hit him.
Yeah.
Okay.
His
Well,
desire
that's
is-
now. So that's. I think I should just pull back, because I think I'm bringing us into my struggle and not what
Well,
you're trying
that's
to
what we
present.
do here. If you don't want to, I certainly won't force you to. Does anybody resonate with what he's bringing up as a question?
Sure.
Very much.
Certainly, Paul seems to be asking for sincerity in
Yes.
attacks, and that's unobjectionable
Sure.
in a martial context. It's unobjectionable. I mean,
But I can sincerely put a dot on that wall.
You could see two people dancing, and you could make comments a little bit about sincerity. It's much easier to do that, in Aikido technique for me than tango.
Mhm.
But even tango done well has a sincerity to it,
Sure.
right? So bringing that as if,
Yeah, I have no problem with
as
the
if it were
sincerity
life and
aspect.
death, as if this really was a sword in my hand, and I really was trying to get between the helmet and the shoulder, you know, armor. And
Should we continue this over lunch?
No, I think we should talk about something friendly.
Yeah.
I don't mean it's unfriendly, but this is riling people up, and that's good, because you have to learn to deal with it. Let me go
but the
back.
observation is that lunch is here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. The
Um,
nose says yes.
Someday you'll get something in your life which is not at all acceptable. Parkinson's, for example. If I weren't used to people trying to hurt me, I would have a very different attitude toward the Parkinson's. It's the same thing for me. It's a study of how you preserve your kindness and your equanimity when the shit hits the fan. And it's only by having real shit hit a real fan in a pretend way that you get to practice that. And then it works for you when you need it. You don't have to do this. You don't have to do anything with this. You can do what you choose and what you learn from it. If it isn't your taste, that's why there's butter pecan. There must be garlic ice cream somewhere. There's plenty of ways to practice. I'm just trying to make a point about a way of practicing. And if somebody really were hateful, I'd not let them in the dojo. Ask them to leave. It's people who want to learn to love their enemies that are practicing with real enemies, yes, so that we can do something about it. If you don't have an enemy to practice with, how are you going to deal with it when you do it? Okay?
Yep.
And I'm not the last word on anything. There's plenty of stuff out there. Mix and match. Build a structure for your Aikido that works for you. I'm just making a distinction about what works for me. Okay? Thank you. Stand with your hand out like the stage and do that. And where does your attention go? And do you physically want to? And do you remember that you should go kindness, beneath the hand, asshole to the back, and it? All the things we did with 5 things, and there's plenty more. But this is the starting place. Do you forget them when I hit you? Or do you stay in the space that creates? If you wish. Don't hit the sword edge.
Okay, so that's your that's fine. Have your list and settle it.
What does that?
I'm trying to figure
What
that
does
out.
that do when you get hit? What changes it?
My attention goes there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
you-
I'm making it not go there, but it goes there, and then I make it not go there.
Yeah, can you make it, well, you're not making it not go there, you're making it go somewhere else. Where
Right, well,
else?
that's a different thing.
Yes, where else do you try to make it go?
I go to their spine. I want to see your head.
Okay. I try to keep up 360 degrees. I'm aware of that. I don't think I changed my breathing. And I kept looking at what I'm feeling, the wraparound. Thank you. If I go there, I'm stuck. Does that make sense? Try to disperse your attention. Please do.
You guys go on. I'll just
Why don't you start, because I'd like to move it up. I can watch it.
Yeah, but we just
Are you shining?
Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna come to somebody. I'll come to you, okay.
I'll grab you.
No, I'm gonna come to you. Okay.
Put out your day.
I'm gonna whack you like this, okay. Yeah, okay.
Well, yeah, it's a,
It's like a, oh,
it's
okay.
intentionally startling.
Ah, okay. And
Where is your
and you're just
attention
feeling it, okay.
Okay, stop, move first. Everybody hum. Is that different from speaking? More or less. When you hum, are you aiming anywhere?
I was aiming at random piece of the
he's a hummus person. Okay. When you speak, do you aim at the person you're speaking to? What happens if I aim halfway between us? Does that sound different than if I aim all the way at you? It's not the volume. There's something else that changes. When I talk to this spot right here, it's different than when I talk to you. And I don't think I'm changing my volume much. I'm changing my aim. So try staying separate from your partner and aim something. Good morning. How are you? Why are you here? Do you exist really? Aim your speech at the person. Then pull the aim in close to you and say something. And see if you can both detect whether there are changes. Good?
Yes.
Please.
It's an acting exercise on the road.
Little triangle here.
Hey there, how's it going? It's good to see you. Yeah, not talking to like this.
Hi,
Other
I'm
than just-
Bettina.
Hi.
Good morning.
Hi.
What did you experience? Is anything different? Is anything useful in there?
So, I mean, there's definitely, on the receiving end, there is a difference between the speaking at somebody who's across the room or just projecting to a foot away. But I've been trying to figure out what it actually is.
Right, what do you
And
do physically?
what do I do physically? And, you know, from playing the flute, I know how to, you know, put pressure behind the air, like do something with my diaphragm, but I don't really know whether that's it or not.
I felt my throat tightening as I was changing my focus, and I wasn't intentionally doing that, but I noticed that was, so I like it.
So it tightened when you were projecting?
When I was coming back, I could actually feel, it almost felt like my own throat was getting.
Closing the sound. What else?
For me, it felt, when I was screaming across the room, it felt like it was kind of more aggressive and took more energy rather than up close. It felt more intimate and relaxed.
Can you feel intimate and relaxed as you speak from this distance? Can you feel that you'd like to give me a hug and be friends? But drop your chin as you do it. There you go. How does that make a difference, dropping your chin? In what way?
I feel more relaxed.
Okay. Raise your chin. Now speak to me. Yeah. Okay, drop your chin, and now relax your throat, relax your hands and your feet, and speak all the way to me, please.
What was your lunch?
My lunch was wonderful. You've heard about the face that launched 1,000 ships? This is not it. Does that give you any awareness of what you were doing?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else?
So what are we learning from this?
Okay, I think what your question is how can we use this?
Yes.
Okay. I need a volunteer. Okay, punch me. And speak. Wait, no, as you punch.
I fall.
And what do you do with your elbow? You're flaring out. Let it stay close to you. That's better. Again.
I fall.
Are you tracking me or just punching where I am?
I'm concentrating on being able to say anything when I do this, because I don't find that easy.
Okay, I don't mind. Yeah. Why are you going sideways? Because you think I will? Okay, that's better, that's straighter in. Now can you talk? Hello, what's your name? I'm Linden, no, you're Linden, I knew I was one of us. But, yeah, good, you're not talking, I'm talking. If that's talking, okay, you can talk.
I fall.
Why are you pushing? Okay, keep talking.
I fall.
Yes.
I like balance
Okay,
today.
why are you pushing? Well, I don't know either. Okay, I'll punch. Hello, it's nice to see you again, Linda. You're always fun to beat up. I always have fun when I'm pushing you around. But you don't let me push you around anymore. You must be learning something. That's good. Are you babbling? No, I am. I babble. You heard about the Tower of Babel? That was my apartment. Okay. Can you defend yourself and keep talking?
Yeah, I think I was your roommate there that had Tower of Babel.
Oh, you're not babbling. Yeah, just count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Are you
8,
aiming
7.
out into the world?
No.
Aim so that they can all hear you.
Oh.
And glory in it.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Are you
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Aim,
A,
aim.
B, C, D,
Okay,
E.
now aim close.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Does
6.
that feel different?
Yes, it really does.
In
It
what
feels
way?
very different.
Yeah, in
It's a
what
lot
way?
harder to do.
To do what?
Blend with you and ward you off when I was in here.
Right.
But when I was talking to them, it was easy.
Yes.
Which is surprising to me.
Yes, it is.
Because I would have thought that that would be totally distracting.
No, it wasn't. You were aiming out into the world in a wraparound, symmetrical, balanced fashion. When you do that, you're here and you know what to do. When you're talking that way, you're removing yourself from the world. And there was a musical, Stop the World, I Want to Get Off, a number of years ago. But that's not what we're doing. Okay, what did you see different in her when she aimed that way? Yeah, she was vertical. What else? Expansive.
Yeah. Something about talking to you made me come in a way that I wouldn't normally do.
That's possible, yeah. Okay. Then talk to me, and don't come in. Are you coming in or getting in the middle? I'm pushing you. I think I'm pushing you around, lady. Do you want me to push you around?
I can't find any voice when that's going on.
Find it anyway.
Hi, Linda. How's it going? Doing all right?
Brent, I'm doing great. I really
Is
have a
Is
lot.
Paul annoying the crap out of you right
Paul
now?
is just annoying the crap
It's
out of me. I
annoying.
can't seem to get rid of this
Isn't
guy.
that just really
He's
horrible?
bugging
He's just
me.
annoying as heck. You could ask Jeff about it too.
How did that feel?
It felt so much better.
Yes. It was
Thank
hard
you
to
for-
do. Yeah. Thank you, Brandon.
Sure.
It was visibly transformed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Visibly.
Yes, it's a great lesson. We do pull.
Yeah.
We've met how many years, and it's still.
Right, because you haven't been taught to examine that aspect of your movement. How do you get down in ducks?
Crawl down the ladder.
Use a ladder.
I should.
Why do I ask? Quack, quack, quack. You're going to be pecked to death by a bird.
Where are you, Brad?
Over here.
Quack, 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 quack. Speak to them.
Yeah, this guy is annoying me. Is nobody gonna come?
If someone tries to peck you, what should you do?
I'm a herd of ducks.
Doug.
Don't let him
Quack,
push
quack,
you
quack.
around.
Let me join you.
Linda?
Quack, 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 quack.
There we go.
That worked.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that causes me immense joy is the fact that we can get such reasonable outcomes with such stupid input. It's nice that way. Okay. What did you see and what did you feel about her performance with ducks?
She doesn't like ducks.
Oh, well, they're not bad when they're roasted. You're thinking, Brandon. She's brainless, like a
Yeah.
Zen master, right?
No, not like a Zen master.
Maybe.
What did you see changing in her when she aimed outward?
She just seemed to get a lot more comfortable and she just stayed in motion.
Right,
Very
yes.
smooth.
Did I correct her technique or did I show her how to change states?
It's really interesting.
Yeah, from that state, you're more able. That's not the state I want you to put you in because I want you to be disabled.
As an attacker, as
Right.
you're disabling.
Right, hope. If I don't.
Oh,
do
you're the
something
most
to,
obvious sneaker I've seen in a long time.
But she still ran those, right?
Yeah, she did.
that's what sneakers are for. Okay. Can you recognize what I'm talking about there in terms of the distress response? The first column. Okay. That is the core of all of my work. Now I can apply it more specifically to golf or horseback riding or anything, because I can go through the details in the body of how the body is responding and whether there's a better response pattern that's possible. So this is really kind of generic. Anytime anybody comes to me for anything, I free up their joints so they can move and feel spacious inside themselves. And then if it's golf, I don't teach them how to shoot, I teach them how to swing. So, or whatever. The details are usually different, but the generic stuff that underlies all possible details are this stuff about contraction, collapse, and expansive kindness and presence. Okay. Then I go into something that these next two pieces are what I summarized so that you guys would have something when you walk away from the workshop to remind yourself of what you did. And I've got a lot of stuff on my website with more, but this will remind you of what we did here primarily. Does anything make no sense or not enough sense or something that you feel you would like to discuss in this process?
What would be your best outcome from someone picking this up who's had an exposure to your work, and what would they do next?
Well, if they've had an exposure to my work, you mean like today or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you would do next is either say, well, that's interesting, but not my cup of tea. Or you could say, gee, that's interesting. I really got it, and I'm going to practice these things that Paul showed today. Or you could say, you could go to the next page, or the page after, and see that I have 2 videos, about 9 or 10 hours each, and a bunch of books, and you could say, well, it'll be nice. I can learn his stuff without having to put up with his terrible jokes. And you could go through any of the books and things. What would I wish you to do? At the very least, practice what you've learned here and try to improve the world. I think these 5 steps are simple enough that any of you could teach it to a group of people tomorrow. Is that not so? Not the stuff that I extend it with, but the 5 things. In fact, this top right-hand box was somebody who took a workshop with me about 3-4 weeks ago, and she used it right away. And that's what she said, it worked. In particular, I'm curious about the first paragraph in the middle fold. The practice should be those points. How do they strike you?
The last 3 points feel really, really important, that it's operational, testable, and consistent.
Yeah, I think so.
It's like, I mean, anything with like somatic trauma recovery is such a nebulous thing, right? It's like a really confusing experience. So having steps that you can kind of then test.
Okay, any other? A lot of people don't think in operational and testable terms. They think poetry, they speak poetry. If you make yourself one with the universe and flow your awareness into the core of something or other, it means something to them, I'm sure, but it doesn't mean anything to me until they translate it into step 1, do this, do this, do this with your body. And so I prefer to stick with the body because I can find it, even mine. Okay. I have had people violently disagree with the idea that we speak only body words. They're poets, and the poetry means something to them, but not to me.
Does it mean the same thing to each person?
I haven't the faintest clue. Probably not. That's the nature of poetry. And I would prefer, vastly prefer, flying in an airplane built by an engineer than built by a poet. Okay. I'm not saying you have to do this or this way, but this is what I'm after in trying to create what I've been working on. And if you only knew me 30 years ago, you'd see that it worked. Okay. Any other questions before we jump into something else?
Part of the reason I was interested in this workshop has been reading Peter Levine's work recently, and I'm just wondering if you have any like direct references to that, or if you could speak to that. Or,
Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Peter Levine and I had our first professional articles published in the same issue of Somatics back years ago. He phoned me up and said, we're doing very similar things. I've read his book. I think he has a second book out now. In certain ways, we are doing very similar things. But in about 25, 30 years of working with trauma, I have never seen anybody shake to get rid of it. It may be innate, or it may be an artifact of his work. I shake, but that's different. Okay? The other thing that is different, I could find you the page if I had the book here. He says very clearly that you work with metaphor, because what will defeat the victim, what defeated the victim already, will defeat them again, so you don't want to go near it.
Helplessness, like we were talking about.
Yeah. And I say, hogwash. You want to go straight into the fire and put it out. Not soon and not right away. Very carefully and very graded, systematic approach. But I work with what I call the empowerment sandwich. Generic empowerment, then some amount of contact with the actual trauma, and then more empowerment. So you walk away feeling not that you've been practicing being overwhelmed, but that you've been practicing being stable and capable. And then eventually we go through the actual trauma.
So is there an element in your work of rewriting the traumatic experience, which is kind of central in his, like, you're re-envisioning, in some way re-experiencing it with a different narrative and a different sense of action?
I'm not sure what you mean by those words. What I do is I want them to eventually, oh, let me give you an example. Brandon, would you kindly choke? Pin me to the wall.
Will you point that?
Yes. You kind of choke me, but
Pin me to the wall. Yes, good. Now, if this is the trauma, I want to work to the point where they cannot be choked up about it. No, I didn't say that. You want to be calm, all the shining, all the rest of that stuff, and then very carefully slam it into the wall. What people want to do is to push away, and it can work, but it's difficult. Now, let me show you where this goes eventually. Brandon, sit on me. Pin me, please. Okay. People have been pinned. Okay. Most sexual abuse survivors have been pinned. You're not sitting on me. Okay, good. Now, if I push against them, I get nothing. If I go to the side, see what I did? I rolled. I can trap his leg and push. There's all kinds of embroidery, but basically what I'm feeling is you can't do that to me anymore. And with joy, not with anger or fear. That rewrites the connection between the stimulus and the present response. When they think about it, they'll think, yes. Not that they should go back and actually find the person. It's not safe sometimes, but I'm changing the stored relationship to the trauma. And he says you can't do that.
Oh, that's not what I remember from that.
Well,
That's
then
interesting.
why does he
Yeah.
say you use metaphor because what defeated the victim the first time will defeat them again?
I think I don't remember that specific passage, but yeah.
I could find it for you.
Yeah, but he does talk about where people are re-narrating experiences and then taking action in that memory, like when it's almost like a hypnosis, right? So that's in a way kind of giving them an experience of pushing back against the memory.
No, it isn't.
No?
I'll show you why.
Okay.
Okay. You want to try something?
Yeah.
And
Here.
what's the safety contract?
I can tell you to stop at any time.
And I will obey you.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say you've been choked.
Mm-hmm.
May I choke you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What would you choose to do that would be changing the narrative? But that's trained Aikido already.
Right.
If you didn't know any Aikido, okay, very slowly.
Okay.
Very slowly. That's the safety contract?
Stop.
Okay.
Stop.
What does that feel like?
Feels like being taken care of.
Yeah, but an attacker won't take care of you.
Right.
May I push and you say stop and I won't stop? May I?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, say stop.
Stop.
And when I
Stop.
don't, what?
That's actually stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what?
That's actually a real, yeah, that's like that reached a real trigger point.
Right,
Yeah.
that's what I have to work with.
Yeah.
And what? Choke me. Okay, choke. What does this feel like compared to what you were trying to do?
How do you mean?
Okay, deal with it slowly. You're leaning. Oh. Okay, just raise one arm. No, outside. And now turn. Yeah, how does that feel? Do it with joy and swingy too.
Feels
Yeah.
much more
Stand up,
effortless.
stand up. Just swing and turn. Yeah, that's good. Now keep going. Now what? Let's see. Relax. Breathe. Okay, swing your arm and turn, and then turn back. Yes. What does that feel like?
I don't know what to compare it to.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Feels like.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it feels like fighting without fighting. You know, it's
Right.
satisfying a fight impulse,
But you're doing
but I'm
it.
not fighting you.
Exactly.
I'm not hurting you.
Yeah. So you're not learning to be a perpetrator.
Right, exactly.
Okay, there's two possibilities. Somebody choke me, please. Sofia. One is many self-defense instruction systems use anger to fuel things. I think that teaches you to be a perpetrator.
Yeah.
And it won't often work. If you just flow, and don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. You flow and happily, joyfully help her not hit you. Okay. Do you know what Arnold Mendel's dream body process work is? It's a system of therapy. I was once present where a therapist in that system took a woman on an inner voyage to find out what she could find as a resource to protect herself because she had been mugged. She came out saying, now I found my inner warrior. But she didn't have any training. You can't have an inner warrior if you don't know any fighting skills. See what I mean? Can you have an inner Chinese teacher if you don't know a speck of Chinese?
Yeah.
So, what the therapists all do, choke me, is they don't do any of this because they don't know it's possible. Choke me. Choke me. How do you feel?
A little bit like a perpetrator.
Okay. What are you jumpy? A little?
I'm a little jumpy.
Okay,
Yeah.
relax, breathe. Radiate, shine, open yourself, soften. Let me in. And now keep me out by letting me in. Yeah, something to me. Yeah, right. You see the difference between working with the feelings and the emotions as a first step, but not going to the last step. If you had nearly drowned, therapy would be great for teaching you not to be afraid of the water. But who's going to teach you to swim? So I respect his work. I know him. I think he's a good person. His work is good. Very much easier for therapists to learn than my work, but it's not complete. Okay. Does this answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. There's all kinds of good stuff out there, but nobody, hardly anybody, is teaching kindness as a foundation for the power of self-defense, and that kind of self-defense as a foundation for healing.
I have a question, and if it's jumping the gun or if it's...
No, that's excellent. Good.
Okay, I'm working with veterans right now who were like special forces.
Right.
They had horrible things done to them, but they also knew how to kill people.
Right.
And did.
Yes.
What do you do with them? I mean, it's kind of a work in progress.
Yeah, there's two things I would say. First, I don't have protocols. I deal with the individual.
Okay.
If I don't see the individual, I don't know what they're doing with their body. But having said that, I did work with a special forces soldier, I guess you'd say, who came with serious back problems. And what he showed me was, when he felt pain, the thought was, pain is good, extreme pain is extremely good, kill. And he was using the pain in his body as a source for killing other people. And in order to be strong, he had to be tight. And he was grinding his back down. Is that right, Bob?
Sure.
Okay. Hold me as strongly as you can. Whatever you like, in whatever way you want to hold me. If this is satisfying. Okay. The reason he let me teach him is that I could throw him. I could match any of his throws with tension, but with softness. Okay. Because I could function. Attack, please. Hey. Because I could function in a gentle way. Take out his throat, but I don't have to be hateful. I don't have to be hard. Yeah. He accepted it from me. But when he tried to do the Aikido, you're getting hard. You're getting strong. What do? Are you having fun?
Is everybody happy?
Yes, exactly. You're having free-flowing fun. Yeah. What do? Grab and kick. Okay. Yes. Take me, don't let me win.
Oh.
What do you have available? What do you do?
I have leg, maybe.
Yeah, it's much easier than that. Put your hand inside my elbow and throw me. Not that way. Yeah. Okay. It's a way of feeling, not a series of techniques. Grab me, do something. Right. You're not taking me. I'm just little and old. You shouldn't let me do this to you. Can you explode gently? Yes. You're not exploding. You know what I mean?
Huh.
Wait, grab.
I'm not sure.
Yes! Yes! Do you get what I mean by exploding?
Yes.
Did I hurt you?
No, not at all.
I don't want to
trying
hurt you.
No, I'm trying to
Again.
process this.
Come.
Well, being killed.
Explode. Explode. Yeah. Are you exploding to me? I think so. Okay. You're not doing anything to me.
Yeah, but you're doing plenty to me.
Explode. No. Hold it. Yes! You see what I mean? You explode joyfully. Okay. That joy and balance is the healing element in the work, I think. If you hold my wrist, hold it there, now stay steady for a while, that's good. Okay. If you're just doing techniques and getting good at the techniques, there's no joy. There could be, I guess. But, yes, what a beautiful day. Okay, there. You see what I mean? Be happy, be expansive, and take me. So you're not exploding. Can anybody else say what I mean by exploding?
If two children were playing, and one grabs the other, and the other doesn't like it, they shut down and cry.
Yeah,
and if
right.
they like it, they and the energy rises to meet it.
But if they don't like it, they should especially raise the energy.
That would be better.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yes, that would be better.
Yeah, that would be. Yes.
More play.
Yes.
More play.
That analogy worked for me.
Okay, good. That's why I asked for other people's help. Yeah. You're not? Yeah. Okay. Okay, are we exploding? See what I mean? You have to have power and joy. Does that give you any ideas?
It does. It does.
In a free-form kind of way, because techniques often aren't matching the attack. Is this a katatatori? Is this? Is this? Is that? Is that? Are they all katatatori?
Certainly.
Yes. And the same name means they should be amenable to the same defense, right? No. Yes, maybe. It's karate is very efficient. Okay, pull differently. Move. See what I do? In karate style, you just punch the sucker. Very efficient, you don't have to make decisions. But this is more efficient in that it is, yeah, good. Keep going. No, where am I going? Yeah, right. This is more efficient in the sense that it's carefully graded to precisely the attack. Yeah, see what I mean? So whatever you do, it has to work with more joy and less effort than they're used to. That will change it out of the traumatic recall into something different. I think. Does that make sense in terms of your experience? And Fran?
Yeah, well, and I think that none of it works if you're not relaxed and centered.
None of the defense stuff?
Yeah.
Yes. That is not quite true, as witness to the fact, well, the special forces person and the various other soldiers I've worked with were able to kill people without being relaxed. But as a healing, they have to relax.
No, I mean the Aikido techniques.
They do work. Sabina, hold strong, and I'll see if I can do something about being relaxed. Okay. Yes, I can do something holding my breath and groaning, but it isn't healing.
Yeah.
And it isn't kind.
Right. If it isn't kind to the attacker, then I'm learning to be a perpetrator. And that is probably not healing. That's it. Not used to it. They're all still
So,
English.
well, if I could change the subject a little bit. Well, I have a question about working with people
experienced trauma. We're having Michelle Simone, some of you might know Michelle. She's coming to do a seminar at her dojo, and she wanted to offer all the proceeds to the Rape Recovery Center. And she does model mugging and things like that, as well as Aikido. And so we offered the proceeds, and then we said we want to offer to anybody who attends your center to come to the training. And their response was, we don't offer any martial arts training to any of the people who come here, because what that does is imply to them that it's their fault that they were raped because they didn't know what to do.
And that's true, in a sense, but not fault.
Not right
Come here.
now.
Okay, somebody else? Yeah. Okay. I don't use the word fault. May I punch you? Just let me punch you. Does that hurt? Say yes. Yes. I hit you hard. Why does that hurt?
Because I'm fragile.
Okay, punch me. It hurts because you didn't block. I'm talking about...
Well, dummy, huh?
No, that's normal. There are two reasons it hurts. One is because somebody hit you, and the other is because you didn't stop them from hitting you. Now, the world should be not hitting you. If everything were decent, nobody would hit you, and that would be the end of it. But it isn't that way. So you've got two choices if you don't want to be hit. Beg all 9 billion people in the world not to hit you, or learn to block. In a sense, it is, okay. If you got to separate the difference between adults and children. If somebody hurts a child, that's because they themselves are so weak they need to hurt little people. One of the phrases I use is a stupid damn phrase, but it gets the point across. Real men, and I include women, sort of, real men don't rape children, they rape lions and tigers. You get what I mean? If you hurt a child, you're weak. So it's very possible for the child to grow up and be stronger than the perpetrator. If you are an adult when you're abused, it's true somewhat, sometimes, that you got hurt because you weren't trained to not get hurt. What's wrong with that? I'm not blaming anybody. The implication is get training and it won't happen again.
How would you have responded to the rape recovery?
Just the way I did.
Yeah.
If she was present on the phone, it wouldn't work well.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between causality and blame.
Yeah.
If I hurt somebody, it's partly because there's oxygen in the atmosphere. If there weren't, I wouldn't be able to breathe or hurt anybody. That's a stupid example, but there are many, many elements which go together to allow a causal relation. That isn't to say that I'm blaming anybody for anything, except the perp, of course. But it's a question of locus of responsibility. Do you want to, the martial point of view is, I'm responsible for everything that happens to me. That's not true, but it's a very productive stance because it enables you to study stuff. If you say, I'm not responsible, he hit me, what do you study? What do you become? How do you change yourself? Okay, you didn't know how to defend yourself then, and that was why they picked on you. Could you learn and then be safe?
Absolutely.
By your own efforts, not by my simply training and hurting you.
Yeah.
That's the same answer. His was elegant, mine is nuts and bolts, I guess. Okay.
The thing that I say to people is that when they talk about, do martial arts, is that Aikido is an effective form of defense. But it differs from other martial arts in that it doesn't teach fighting its focus isn't fighting tactics, it's I'm sorry, I have these memory
That's
things
okay,
that
so do
happen.
I.
It teaches conflict resolution, and which is kind of a variation of the love, the caring, the shining. That it's very different in its approach, so that defense piece that you learn is couched in a whole different framework.
Yes.
And people, for the most part, don't make that distinction because they don't know what Aikido is, and oh, it's a martial art. Well, it's, you know, it's kicking and punching and destroying the other person.
Okay, may I respond to that in a way that you won't like?
Sure.
I'm a black belt in karate. Gichin Funakoshi, who brought karate from Okinawa into Japan, has in his autobiography the statement that if you use karate for fighting twice in your life, you're sick and violent and you need to do something. If you use it once, maybe there is an excuse. But it should not be used because it's not about them, it's about your inner growth. And karate is every bit as peaceful as Aikido. And it's in some ways more peaceful. I'll show you what I mean. Did I borrow somebody? Okay. Punch. Okay. And I knock him, and then I walk away while he's gasping for air. Okay? Punch. Yep, here. And I throw him down on the cement, and he hits his head on the floor. And which is more violent? Which is more endurance, the Aikido or the karate?
So I took karate for 16 years, and I never was taught how to barely knock the breath out of someone.
Yes, true. I was in an airport on the way to England, and my plane got screwed up, so I spent 16 hours sitting there. Turned out the guy next to me was Special Forces, soldier, retired, and he taught martial arts, and we got to talking. And I said, I have a speculation that the soldiers stationed in Japan and Korea and Okinawa learned the martial arts, but the movements, and they didn't speak the language, so they didn't know what was being said. He said, yes, exactly. So people came back thinking the purpose for these fighting movements is to fight, and it wasn't so. Most American karate is a misunderstanding, I think, and real karate, in the sense that it would be practiced in Okinawa, is peaceful. It's not, they say very clearly, it's not about hitting other people, it's about quieting yourself.
And absolutely, but in this country, people's perception and the
Yes,
way,
that's true.
yeah, I mean, that's
And
why.
I think overseas it is also. I had a native instructor, and he came directly over and began teaching, and it was all about being able to bring peace through having a level of discipline.
Yes.
But that discipline was building our capacity to get in touch with how destructive we can be so that we have choices
Yes.
in that.
And that's the same in Aikido. Understand that violence is the choice and the wish, not merely the movement. And I'm still thinking about your question, how do you apply this with soldiers? You have to be able, they have to win, but they can't afford to heal and lose. Let's move on. Okay. Need a volunteer. Somebody who wants to grab me or do something. Okay, what do you want to do next? Okay, let's. Okay. And then we'll find something that doesn't break anything. Tight? Are you relaxed? Are you having fun? What do you do now? Soft? Soft. Stop. Turn. Yes. Are you hard? Are you strong?
Of course I am.
Soft. Soft. And do something in between. Grab and pull, and then do something. Okay? But don't throw to beginners that way. Just improvise. Blend, joyfully. Yeah, that's good. Now soft. Yeah. I think this is a crucial conversation. and it's crucial to what IQ is and how it could be used. Let's experiment, see what you come up with. It's not my opinion that counts, it's what you come to with your experiments. Please.
Grabbing and punching.
Yes. As slowly as your partner needs it.
Okay.
It's a good thing. Yeah.
It's fine.
On me.
Okay.
Still working out on
Okay.
how to,
Oh,
once you have to,
Then I-
how to get it over.
okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. No.
Once you get me, keep going. Turn it.
Really grab my.
Until you, yeah, you'll find something.
You watching too.
Not thinking about it. Yeah.
Here. Okay. What we're playing with is here. No, not planning. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not doing techniques. He's hitting it, and I'm riding it, I'm surfing it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Hit me? Yeah. Good. Okay, sorry.
No, I was just pretty open.
Okay, next. Yeah. Nice man. Yeah. Good, take me. Yeah, right. Are we having fun?
I was a little nervous because we're up here, but I was having fun.
Good. Here, seal it.
Oh, seal
No,
it?
no, force it, yes. Punch. And seal it. Yes. Good. What do you do to steal so joyfully?
I don't steal it. I accept the wonderful gift that you were giving me.
Yeah, that's what I call stealing. But it's fun, and it's built on the sense of being with. Questions? I'm getting my exercise. Questions?
It's not so much a question as, I mean, I think of doing Aikido as there's sort of three entities involved. There's me, there's you, and there's the combined energy that happens when we do a technique. That,
Always?
no, not always.
How do you know when it can happen? How do you make it happen more often?
I think the more relaxed and centered you are, the more aware of your center and energy and your partner's center and energy, the more likely and the more open you are, the more likely it is to happen.
Okay, the only thing I understood was relaxed, letting go. Can you say the rest without using energy or center? Because as a beginner, I wouldn't know what you mean. Anybody want to help? Chip in?
Balance.
Okay.
If you attack me and I take your balance,
Okay.
all right, then there's a joint thing that's happening.
Which is?
I don't know what to
Okay, so can somebody else
call
help?
it.
Balance, how do you teach somebody to distinguish losing balance from being balanced in a movement?
Whether the foot's about to move.
The foot?
Well, if you're unbalanced, your foot's about to move.
Okay, maybe. That's,
Maybe not.
Let's try it. Okay. Loudly. Okay. Is my foot about to move?
No, your foot's not about to move, but you're leaning over it compared to unbalanced.
Oh, okay. What
You're
happens?
certainly not strongly postured.
Okay, walk away. Suddenly. Yeah. See, I'm leaning on you, so I am unbalanced. Okay. There's many.
Okay.
How would you teach me to be balanced as
Uh,
a beginner?
As a beginner, I would teach you to get your hips under your shoulders and over the balls of your feet. I would first off have you be able to, well, probably play push hands.
Samurai patty cake.
No, push hands.
Okay, push hands.
Which is feet apart like this, and whoever's feet move first loses.
Okay.
Right, and, and you. Right, but that's a good way to learn.
I think number 4 is a really good way of learning.
Which is?
The stable sitting.
Okay, yeah. Let's do the walking.
Okay.
Okay. You see what I've done? I break things down into physically, mechanically teachable skills. That's where I have to start. Afterwards, I can do other things. Okay, so walk forward. Are you walking elegantly and controlling both of us?
Well, I'm not controlling you yet. Now there's a little more of that.
Yeah, how does that feel?
I'm fine with this.
Does it look more balanced?
I'm feeling balanced.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yes, it does.
So I've created a situation. Okay. So this is the new walk, right? Am I looking balanced as he did?
No.
So how would you correct me, Rob? Grab my hair and pull up. And that works. People.
So,
Am I more balanced now? Somewhat.
Probably.
Yeah. So you have to find something that a beginner can relate to. Now, in your case, I can't reach that high.
in my case, it wouldn't help. But
True. Okay. This is as much about teaching strategies as learning strategies. How can you break it down, anything down, so you're not using esoteric terminology, you're using normal English words in a normal English sense?
Well, I mean, I think that I would consider asking the person, how do you feel in terms of, do you feel stable, do you feel high, do you feel low, do you feel connected to the ground or not connected to the ground? I mean, various things that go along with being in balance.
True.
And you tend not to have them.
Most people, when you correct them as a body worker, as a Feldenkrais practitioner, as having done a number of years of Alexander work, when you put somebody in a balanced position and say, no, I'm leaning back, I'm leaning forward, this is not right.
Because you're so used to being off.
Exactly, so you can't depend on their perception. And what I do is, you normally walk around like this. I put you here, and you say, I'm leaning backwards, and I push and push, push and push. Now go to your feeling, where you feel that you're not leaning backwards. And I push this way, and you lose balance. So if you're more stable in all 4 directions, then you must be upright, even though it feels wrong. Teaching strategies.
We're talking about teaching strategies. I have to say that some people respond immediately and accurately to metaphors like center. I know you don't like them.
Because I don't.
Yeah, but some people, when you say energy, they go, oh, exactly like when you say shine, they go, oh.
Okay, then they have images.
And a lot of them live in California, so his experience base.
Well, some of them
that's
Texas, others Vermont.
Well, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
I attract the people who are as klutzy as I was when I started, and I spent 10 years in a dojo where I didn't understand shit. You hear that?
Yeah.
So what kept you? What, in year 9 of feeling like you didn't understand shit,
Well,
were you just that stubborn?
no, I was obsessive, not stubborn.
Okay.
I don't know the difference. But I'll tell you about the two moments when things clicked for me. I remember as a blue belt saying, I know I'm supposed to go with you, but what do I go with? And so I spent 5 years or so going to the dojo after hours, walking. No, that's the second story. Attack, do something very slow. I spent 5 years trying not to have any effect on the girl. I was trying to judge exactly where she was going and not interfere with her. That's useful as an awareness tool, but it doesn't work. So that's okay. The next moment, when I was a new black belt, I was teaching a class, and I noticed when I grabbed people, they lost balance in the direction of the attack. I thought, why would they do that? I noticed they looked down. Now the head is like a basketball full of oatmeal. It's heavy. So I said, don't tip your head and lose balance. And they lost balance anyway. So I watched, and they were looking down, but not tipping. Look down, and losing balance. I said, don't look down. And they didn't, and they still lost balance. And then I thought, what else? They were thinking down. So I spent 5 years walking back and forth in the dojo, and nobody was there, thinking to the left, doing what that did to my walk, thinking up, thinking down, thinking two directions, until I began to sense other people's skeleton and muscles as projections of thought. And then I put the two together. I can feel where she's going and the direction of thought she's going there with. Then I try to make out of the projections. Okay, shoulder went up and the hand went down. Is that a technique? See how I built up things? Where am I going? Where I want to go. Not down. Not forward. Yes. Can you do something? Throw me right here. That's not where I want to go. It's okay. But this is my practice that I did for so many years. Where am I going here? Relax. Do this. And yes. But joyfully. Yes. See how I matched? She matched my trajectory. Yes. If she just gives me what I want in the way that she wants, it's a complete movement. So let's do something with that. Another volunteer, please. Okay. Wait, this is not an attack. Feel this spot, wishing to go there. Don't go there. Don't not go there. Just wish. And walk while wishing there. What does that do to your walk? Okay. Walk. But first, feel this spot, wishing to go up. Now walk. What does that do? See how it tips your pelvis?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not right.
Yeah. Feel this spot, wishing to go here and walk. See how she's... So, why am I touching? If I say feel that spot going there, she doesn't know what I mean. But I say feel this spot, wishing to go there. Clear? Try it with the partner, please. Thank you.
Shall we?
Okay. This spot. Go up.
You don't have your issue.
Oh, which spot?
We don't want to... This shoulder muscle goes back.
That.
Move this. Now everybody moves the back side. What I'm going to do is again, when you see me move, stab. Move.
I'm already stabbing.
No, you're not.
Oh,
Don't go too deep.
You're moving all the time.
Yeah, I know. When you see me start to do something, defend myself. That's it.
You weren't moving to defend yourself, you were just holding your arm.
I'm starting. That's my clumsy again. Stab me when I don't think of wind up move.
Oh, it's a much harder
Move.
to stab you.
Yeah, when I move, but not before.
Can I use the other side?
Yeah, sure. I'll give you some time. Ready?
That was too early.
Yes, I am. So it's scraping you as you go across, but
That won't do much. You won't do as much as you
okay. No, totally.
And I don't think it's always scraping.
Right?
You ready?
Yeah.
I'm not ready.
Whenever you're ready, it's fine.
What
Paul,
are-
I think you only died 3 out of 10 times, which is a really good average measure.
For a cat, yes.
Well, for
Nobody with any brains can do this.
And stand there.
You can stand there. Yeah, let's stab you first. Okay. What I want you to do is use your hand, and when you move, yes. You've trained, you know what this is. This is a specific way of training for it. Okay, so the game is, when I move, you stab me. And then we'll do something to change that. Clear?
Okay, so he doesn't stab you unless you move first.
Right, which is stupid. On the street, you should stab me first, but that won't help what I'm trying to teach. So, don't stab me
Don't stab you.
unless you move. Please.
You said don't stab me.
Yeah,
Okay.
with partner, please.
So can I stab her?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
but only after
He
you,
has to be that, no?
only after you perceive her starting to defend herself with something.
He just said I can't stab
It's to
her.
grab the dollar bill.
Yes.
Hold your fingers like that. Hold the dollar bill between.
No, it isn't. You'll see where we diverge.
Okay.
Okay? This is just establishing a baseline.
Okay.
You like baseline?
Sometimes.
Oh, Linda, you're welcome to stab me.
Yeah, my body's really tired.
Very reminiscent of
Yeah, you did.
Okay, stop for a moment. Okay. Right here. Very slowly. Not trying to push. Just feel the most economical trajectory. From here to there without any certain locations. Certain, it would be locations, certain. Without walking around. Very soft. Very slow. Okay, just try that please. Now-
Circumambulatory.
Yeah, that's it.
Whatever you were looking for.
Okay.
So this is a direct.
You can punch it out.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. But it's been a while. When we got here.
Oh, that's good.
Slowly.
And I think that might have been
Yeah, I
PM.
can't do that. No, Hold up, yeah.
Thank you.
So do you need to lift the shoulder to touch it out? So just lift the shoulder.
Oh,
So that's why I'm just do this. So now you need forward, so you're pushing into.
Well, we do both
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, stop. So you are.
It was a
Oh,
lot easier.
yeah, that's true. I was kind of just trying to feel it.
Yeah.
So it actually makes sense.
So just try to touch that shoulder. Oh.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, so just do that. You just touch that shoulder. That's much better.
Please,
Yeah.
I'll show you the next step.
It feels better.
Yeah.
Please. Okay, should be. Now, we've got the trajectory. Move away and do the same trajectory all by yourself. Just feeling the flow through space. Not that, but the economical smooth trajectory. Please. Do that by yourself. Not this, that. Slowly, very slowly. No tension. Not cupping it, but pushing it to the side. The other movements are okay. Very slowly. Slower than that. Like Tai Cheeto.
I hate Cheetos.
Pardon?
I don't like Cheetos.
Oh, Cheetos
Yeah,
are
I
winners.
want to move too. That is the
Anything worth cheating at is, no, anything worth doing is worth cheating at.
So it's Chico's?
Maybe. Okay. Can you feel that you're building up a sense of the trajectory? Okay, now, put your arms down, relax. Let's do something impossible. Leave your arm here and move your sense of the arm through the same trajectory without moving your arm. Can you do that?
It's hard to do without moving my hips.
Well,
I want to go, yeah.
of course you do, but you don't have to for the moment. If you look at people, you can see the micro twitch, which is the experience. Anybody not experiencing anything there?
I was asking.
He was doing it, I could see him do it. Okay. What are you doing? Moving what?
Your intention.
Attention, intention. You could call it key, but I don't know what that word means, so I don't. Now, we put it all together and go. You've got the feeling, and you just go. Good job. Okay, so he's trained. Most of us here are pretty well trained. And in one way or another, we've gone through this without perhaps making these steps explicit or using them. But we'll see where we go with this in a minute. Can you see that that's the same as that previous exercise? It's just that you're taking it not through just the subtle direction, but the inside of a movement which has a function. And try it with a partner. Don't just physically go, but let your energy, shall I say? I won't. This is complicated. Somebody has to speak normal. My attention. So you can do it good fast. Yeah. You see how you've trained your body to the economical trajectory of intention. Please, with a partner.
But can we all?
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Okay. So. No, you can. What of this practice would be useful in any technique?
All of it.
Okay, name a piece.
Name a piece.
George, Melvin.
Well, for me, it's the same thing. It's the same thing as a fast punch, right? If you make your fist and lift your hand to hit somebody, they've already gone boom, boom, boom. If you take your elbow and you push the elbow forward, you're already on them before the body makes contact, so that you're finishing the punch before the knuckle gets there. So I mean, it's the same thing as punching somebody.
That's true, but I wasn't thinking of that.
And so, well, it's the response
It's
to
an equal
anything.
but different answer.
Any technique has to respond to something coming in, and what you want to do is make contact so your hand goes in.
I'm not finishing it, but if I did finish it, what I'm thinking about is this other exercise, moving spots through space. If I stop here and I move them, not easily. If I send my thought through the arm to the floor over there, it's a better movement.
Sending thoughts.
Yes. Sure.
That's helpful.
Well, no, it's a high wish.
He's been here for too many hours.
We've got him.
Ohio goes I must.
He's going to be speaking of poetry in a minute.
Yeah, well, I will in a moment. Okay, what I'm doing is creating a spiral that I'm not doing it with mere physical meat and bone. Slow. You see how, maybe I should do something. If I do this, which I don't want to do because it's hard on the neck, if I do that, am I stopping here? Don't try to save yourself.
Sorry.
Just,
Instinct.
am I stopping here? Would this be effective? Not for most things. Here, and I'm already at the floor before it's follow through, but beforehand. Here, maybe we pushing on the elbow. I don't think you need to fall on that one. I'm not pushing on the elbow, because this is where I stop. If I go to the floor, my thought finishes the movement. And it's not physically pushing down as such. What am I doing? I'm completing my movement in such a way she loses balance. If I don't project my intention to the floor, what's your counter now?
Yeah, I could just kick you.
And then, yeah, right, over the top.
Yeah.
Through the woods to grandmother's house. Again. Turn. Where is your mind stop? What are you paying attention to? Right, pay attention to the floor. It's a nice floor. And the floor is
Nope, too rough.
soft. Where are you thinking? What are you thinking about?
Here,
Okay, let me see here. This I picked up just before I left Ohio. It's a winning lottery ticket. It's 4.6 million for you. Turn and touch the ticket.
Oh.
Are you touch the ticket? That's yours. What are you doing? You're pushing on this.
Yeah.
Let me show you something.
Yeah,
Somebody's strong. Push on my hand. No. Just hold your hand open and push on my hand. Okay. Now, put the other hand up. Hold it there. Move this hand there. Move this. Stays there. Yes. Push on my hand. Okay. Now move his hand to that one. I'm not resisting less. But when he has a spatial pathway, he goes. And when he has no spatial pathway, but just a push, he stays. Does that make sense?
Yep.
If you want to go somewhere, you might get there. If you don't want to go anywhere, that's precisely where you go. Nowhere. Okay, so then she turns and pushes through my elbow. You're pushing here. Go there. Yes.
There.
Turn. Saw. Is that good or bad? Let me say no.
That just felt like a stop.
It was, so don't stop. This is mystery. So, there. I also do things like moving to the side and all the usual stuff. But if I just do all the usual stuff and stop here, do I get anything? If I'm gentle, oh, look at the hole. She's likely to go. Try that. If you don't want to fall, don't. Raise it. What has been the application? What's been the main thing that comes across that relates to both peacemaking and trauma recovery? Why have I chosen the exercise like that?
Orneriness?
Yes. Absolutely. That sounds like a good option with teachers if we can. True, but what am I trying to teach? What am I trying to model?
How I would describe the second session experience was that you could experience these 5 awesome ways of resilience in a pretty awful, a normally awfully looking scenario.
Right, that's peacemaking. Trauma is what happens when, you remember I started the workshop with the distress response? Fight or flight or freeze, collapse. Trauma is what happens when the distress response gets stuck in the body and you don't have the resources to do anything else or move past it. So these are the 5 simplest kinds of foundations. Now, there's plenty more stuff, but these are the 5 simplest foundations for either being centered enough to do peacemaking with your we're all idiots, of course, or they wouldn't leave enemies, or to release the trauma. You don't as such release trauma, you just bring resources so that the person can be successful and can let go of the body and the trauma. Does that make sense? Questions, comments?
And so you were correlating peacemaking and the trauma recovery as being very similar?
Very.
Okay.
Peacemaking is what happens when you're distressed because somebody won't make peace. Trauma is what happens when that distress gets locked in the body and you have no other resources or way of behaving other than the distress-based behaviors. And people will drink. I've had many clients say, thank God for alcohol, I wouldn't have lasted long enough to get to your office. Or I gave you the example of the woman who ran a marathon once a week. You could do rock climbing, anonymous sex, heroin, anything to push away the pain that comes when the body stays in a particular place. You don't take somebody's crutch until after you've taught them to walk. So I do a lot of Aikido as part of the sense of being present, fluid, flowing, balanced, all the physiological opposites of the trauma response. Once they get that, then they're willing to open up and let go of their coping strategies. Clear? Questions? Okay. We could do some hands-on body work to get across in a deeper, more simpler way what it means to do movement inside a person's body. That's very useful whether you do touch in your profession or not. That is, when you're touched, you can see. Or we could do Aikido techniques or more body awareness techniques, or we could mix and match. What would you like? You've got about an hour.
I'm personally fascinated by the body work.
Okay, let's do some volunteer questions.
Yeah, I have a question. Do you do much with breath, with breathing
Yes,
as
a lot.
Okay.
But I don't do it in these first 5 things because it's kind of detailed. I can show you what I do with breath in a number of ways after the body work.
Okay, because we use it as a starting point to help unlock some of that locked trauma energy. So I would just, it's interesting that you don't start with it.
Well, I don't because it takes more instruction and I can't easily teach it to other people quickly enough that they could turn around and teach it to their friends. What I wanted is something that could go viral. It has to be very simple. The breath stuff I do is more detailed and more powerful. Okay, volunteer for body work. Okay, well, you guys haven't felt me. You guys haven't. I'll work on you later. Which one of you wants to be a guinea pig?
Oh, I'm happy to be a guinea pig.
Okay, you spoke first. You can grab me later. Let's see.
Now, to do body work, first you have to really want to intensely harm the person. You have to commit to causing extreme pain and injury.
Well, at least you'll give Paul something to work with by setting that up scenario.
Not extreme pain, just some pain. Okay, lie down please on your back, this on your head.
Mhm.
Right touch.
Yes.
What's the safety contract?
Acknowledge.
No, say, that's the fifth one. There, that just changed.
I'm letting you hold my hand up.
But I was waiting for him to greet me and give me permission. on a physical level.
I'm trying to say yes on a physical level, which somehow is still telling me no.
Okay. Why would you want to say yes when you feel no?
I don't know.
I don't know either. Do you know? I guess none of us know. Why do you say no instead?
I think I'm trying to say yes, and I don't know how.
Do you want to say no?
Yes.
Okay, good. Say no.
No.
And again. And the rest. Can I touch?
Mm-hmm.
You mean it?
Yes.
Okay. How do you feel now?
I feel relatively relaxed.
Relatively. Since my relative.
Well, I started breathing along in my belly.
It's good. As a general rule, it's mostly good to breathe. There are those other times though. Like when you're underwater, like Los Angeles. What do you think of that?
I feel like I'm better at listening to where you are articulating my body.
Those arrested recorded guys don't have an automatic massager. They don't have to worry about it. I don't.
I would describe it as sort of the water being able to kind of shift where I feel you going.
Now, the simple way of describing what I'm doing, I'm very gently, pulling very gently, outward, very gently. What does this feel like?
It feels like I'm rolling over.
Mm-hmm. You are.
I know I'm doing it with my head, which
Yeah.
is trying to help.
And does this feel comfortable or uncomfortable?
It feels great.
So there's a number of strategies. The simplest strategy is to very gently pull very slightly outwards to his body. And you do this one and that one, this leg and that head, moving it apart. There's a spaciousness that comes into the body. It's very comfortable. There are other strategies that I use for doing other things, but this is the simplest. A bunch of students I had a number of years ago named this the starfish. Because it's, yeah. And this random directions of very slight rocking. They name the jellofish. So I'm gently pulling very gently, or gently, very gently, gently rocking, slowly, gently. Try that, please. With partner if you wish. Thank you. See what it's like.
Sure. Okay. You want to be on the floor first? Or do you want me to?
How does that relate to peace and trauma and Aikido and various things?
I think if my Aikido could feel like that, I would feel pretty successful.
Yes, I agree. That's what I'm trying for also.
I think the body work done properly gives someone a chance to experience a state of relaxation often no other method can get them to.
Yeah, well, that's true. And it isn't just relaxation, it is a lot of other stuff. This is just the beginning.
Body integrity, connectedness.
And power.
Well, starting with Bob, Rob was so completely relaxed to start with. I mean, because you're skilled at that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to
Find
feel
out
much
what
of
to
what was
do.
going on. I didn't feel anything going on.
Slap 'em.
I felt fairly relaxed. I mean, when I'm going on a massage table, my brain goes into its happy place. So, yeah.
Okay. What else? Yes.
There's a somatic vocabulary that isn't, until you practice it, it isn't available.
Right.
I mean, when you say, you start to use words you don't use other places.
Yes.
And you still avoid energy, but you still say things like, move your awareness. And I was like, what does that mean?
Pay attention.
Yeah, but when you're paying attention through your hands to somebody's body, there are...
Get you to do it, so you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Watch. Shake hands, step in. Shake hands, yes. Shake hands. Yes. Are you reaching? Here or here?
There.
Okay, reach to there, there. Now, reach to there. There. Gently tap. And send your energy around the corner. That's it. Do it just with your attention. Reach from...
I can't help myself up and do this. It hurts my shoulder.
Yeah, find it good. Okay, that's good. Now, reach, and reach into the yes. Now, go through to some part. Take it down somehow, yes. Okay. Now, is that Aikido or body work?
Yes.
Right, exactly. You reach into the person and you work with their insides, with pushing the chain. There's a number of things I can do with it. I can gently move out. I could, you see this, the poor guy? I could follow it in. That too will release things. What else?
So I had the awesome opportunity of you to demonstrate on me, and then I then got to watch, and I got bored, and so I laid down and tried to imagine what you were doing before, and imagining what you were saying and doing felt very similar to you actually doing it, which was very nice. Like I was able to sort of get through that visualization.
Right. Good. Anything else?
Talk about pushing the chain. It looks like you're creating the tension first.
What do you mean?
Well, you were drawing out, Brandon.
Yeah, that's easier. You just very gently ease on like this, and you gently draw there. Yeah. You gently draw them out, because if you go like this, he'll hit you. You won't like it. Okay. How does this relate equally to trauma and peace?
So you meet them where they are, and you accompany and you ask for small changes as you're paying attention to what they're actually doing, and you don't force.
Yes, exactly.
So are we going there yet? Are we ready to go there yet?
I think you also make yourself much more, you put yourself in a position of being a better, more compelling guide by creating a level of trust with someone that I don't know any other way to get to that level of trust than that they could, I mean, you can train with people, and I like to say, in a friendly way about Tom Andruska, who I used to go to as a chiropractor, that, I trained at the dojo with him for 2 years. He had every chance to kill me, he never had. And so I was able to relax on his table and let him do the things to my neck that my neck turned out to really like when they got done, but that with those 2 years, I would not have allowed myself to have done to me. And so that the level of connectedness, as when you do body work with somebody, that gives you a kind of, you know, standing to be more effective, more helpful?
Okay. For me, it's all intentional. I'm reading the intentions to move in a certain way, to shrink or twist or something, and I open them. That's the antidote for traction and collapse. So I use a number of ways of opening them. I could very gently pull out. I could shake and get people confused, and then they don't know where to go. So I say, give it up, and they go, and then they'll let me pull out. I can push in, following the tension lines. There's things I can do to confuse them. Lie down, please. Sit up. Lie down and sit up. Okay, that's a little. Lie down, please. There you go. Okay, so if I do, can you tell what direction I'm going to be moving in next and where? No. Help me roll your arm. And help. No. Help and resist. Resist. Help. Help. Resist. Resist. Help. Help and resist. Help. Help. Resist. Resist. Help. Resist. Help. Resist. 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 Help. Let it go. And get them so that's too much trouble to figure out what this Linden character wants me to do. Let it go. And he will let it go once you've brought it into conscious awareness of what turning in both directions are. Okay? There are other patterns. How can we use this in Aikido?
By doing exactly that.
Yes, exactly. Okay, let's see. Need a volunteer, please? It's what the commonality is between my work with just plain Aikido and peacemaking. I was at the original TAB thing in Cyprus 11, 12 years ago. And I started off my workshop by saying, okay, you come to make peace, and the guy sitting on his pew tortured and killed your brother. What does your body do? How does it affect the peace process? And how can you change it? You didn't like your brother, did you? Well, you loved your brother.
Absolutely.
That's why I tortured him. And how do you feel about me?
I'd like to take your head off.
Yeah, well, I'll give it to you later. But after we sign the peace accords.
Definitely after.
Yeah, right, okay. Am I going to sign the peace accord with you?
Well, if you don't, I'll find someone else.
Well, okay, you see what I'm talking about. You have, it doesn't matter what your enemy did. He wouldn't be your enemy if he was nice. So you have to be able to be heartfelt and respectful and kind with him. Maybe not for him, but with him. And then there's a chance that peace can be established. There's no chance if you don't. Trauma, it's the same thing. Almost. You have to build in this state of being so that they have some place to stand while they're working out their trauma. But if you don't build in the strength and the flow first, they go to therapy and they're practicing being overwhelmed. You get what I mean by that? Yeah. When my pet elephant stepped on my turtle and moved back in a flashback and reliving the experience. But if you do that, you're strengthening your weakness. So I want people to be able to step out of their old ingrained learned weakness into some power that works. Then we talk about the stuff that traumatized you, and you don't let it take you this time. And eventually we work your way up so you can do it and win. Then you can break or alter the connection to the past. Okay? But it can't be winning with fear and anger. It has to be joyful and fun. Otherwise you're reinforcing the fear. But if you can have fun with your weakness, oh, how nice. Okay, jolly. Okay, jolly. That's nice. Okay. Now, we have some time yet. Do you have questions or requests? Somebody had something, I think.
Somebody had asked about the breathing.
Oh, yes, breathing. Okay. Everybody sit or stand, please. Well, you're doing one or the other. Okay, take a deep breath. What moves in your body and in what direction when you take a deep breath?
My belly goes out.
And what else?
My back expands a little bit that way.
What happens in your chest?
Not a lot, it lifts a little bit.
Okay. Yeah.
I was just saying I try to make my chest go like this, but
This one? Cut, please. Good. And what happens with here?
I'm also trying to make that go back, and I don't know if
I don't think it can be done.
okay.
Okay, I had a head of ballet corps come to me. She was elevating her chest and flattening her back because she wanted up and flat. And you elevate the chest by arching the back. And she was in terrible back pain. I just stopped. She took one look in the mirror and said, "Oh my God." And I said, "You can either not dance the way you want to look, or you can stop abusing your body and dance the way you do look." She said, "I'd rather give up dance than not look the way I want to look." Okay? A little weird.
Well, do you tell a story about a professor who walked around like a professor and had a lot of problems, and then he stood up and he said, "Well, now I don't feel like a professor"?
No, I
Okay.
told a story about a jazz musician who hunched over his piano, and when he sat up, he couldn't improvise for a month or so. Then he was able to after a while, but he said, "This is what it looks like to be a jazz pianist."
Thank you, Mr. Monk, but yeah.
Yeah. And they have told that story.
Okay.
This is what it looks like to be an Aikidoist.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, breathing. Take a deep breath. What happens and where does it happen? If somebody said diaphragmatic breathing, what do they mean by that?
Low.
The diaphragm is going down to lengthen the lungs.
Yeah. All breathing is diaphragmatic. You can't breathe if you don't move the diaphragm. But you can also elevate the chest or do other strange things. My sense of it is, and we'll test it out, let your belly hang loose. Let your throat hang loose. Let the movement of the breathing drop so it's low. And then let everything go. The chest, the back, the shoulders, the low back, let it all expand. How does that feel? Good? Anybody for whom it does not feel good? So deep breathing is, I don't know, a lot of people say, and they go up, and that qualifies as deep somehow, but I don't think it's comfortable.
It qualifies as being in deep water.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm not in deep water at the moment, I think. Okay. Let's do an
Well,
exercise.
could I ask,
Yes.
what would you describe this part of your chest doing when it feels like you're doing really well?
I would say here, hold my chest, please, and hold my back. And this is a bit bigger, exaggerated, but what do you feel?
I do feel your shoulders and chest rising.
Sure. What do you feel?
I feel a lot of movement here and not very much in your back.
Yeah, well, there's bones back there, so they won't move much, but some.
That was much more that
Yeah,
time, yes.
okay. So what would you describe? How would, let's say everything floats a bit.
Yeah, I think expansion is a very good term, but yeah, I have a hard time because you could expand this way and that would make everything else very hard to expand.
Yes.
So I was trying to figure out a different direction to think.
And then just spread. Okay. Now, breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth, please, if you wish. How does that feel? Don't push the air out. Don't purse your lips. Just that's a good one. And let's. Okay, this is basic. When you breathe this way, in gently, out. How does that make you feel? Yeah, right. Okay. It's soft and it's grounded. Yeah. Let's do something with it. Breathe in to here, sort of, and then breathe out down into the floor. Exhale down into the floor. And you will go in and out through your nose and mouth, but pretend, feel that you're going down through the core of your body into the floor. And for the next few, breathe into your core and up out of the top of your head into the sky, or however far or close you want to breathe that one. And breathe in and out through your right side toward the horizon on the right. And toward the left. And to the rear. Breathe into your core and exhale toward the rear. And breathe to the front. And now for the last, breathe out in all 6 directions at once. What does this feel like? How do you respond? What does it do? Anything?
I've been having trouble with the shine
Uh-huh.
all day, and this feels like it's breaking open the
Yeah.
places where I can do
This
that.
is more specific and more powerful, but it isn't as easy to teach people. You have to teach them something about diaphragm, et cetera, et cetera. So the others are easier, but they're not as deep. Anything else?
I was very off balance when I thought of the different directions.
Like all 6?
It felt awesome.
Yeah.
I actually skipped because I was feeling too off balance, and I figured I would just go to the 6 so that I would go over that.
Why would I choose the one at a time? Because anybody here feel that one direction was harder or easier to focus on? Okay. So if you do the 4 that are easy, and 2 or 3 out of the one that's hard, you can practice the different directions when you're doing one at a time much more easily than you can practice the 6. But the goal is the 6. And what would I do with that? And I can go. Okay.
I would know what I could go in any of those directions.
Right. Well, you can go in all directions, and then you're
Yeah.
able to move.
Right.
Okay, yes. If you shrink one direction because you're afraid or angry, that's not going to enable you to move. If you do all 6 directions, yes,
Right.
you just move. Right. And then it becomes a lot easier because your awareness is spread. Okay. And how does this affect peace? Well, I think it's pretty clear. And trauma, say turtle, which is the trauma.
Okay.
And don't relive it. Those all 6.
Okay. Turtle.
Yeah, okay, that's very different. You get what I mean? You have to bring a traumatized person to the place where they are whole before you can work on the trauma. I I think therapy figures you work on the trauma and you get whole. I figure first you have to be whole, otherwise you don't have the strength to deal with the trauma. And this is part of how I do it. Okay, but the others are quicker and easier. This is about the 5th or 6th lesson where I get into the details like this. Other questions? Experiences? Yeah, sure.
The somatic, like the body work and then the breathing is helping invite me back into my body.
Yes.
And usually I'm in a pretty like dissociated from my body space, which we
Yeah.
haven't really talked about today, so.
We have a little, but not much. Okay, let's do something real quick. Everybody stand up, please. And you can sit down if you want. Okay. There are 2 common geometries of dissociation, I think. Okay. Everybody, find a spot on the ceiling, just above you. Move it out to the side. Move the spot out to the side, like as though you had a laser pointer. Now, walk around and don't look up, but keep your mind on the point. It comes with you as you travel. Okay?
It comes with you as you travel at the same distance from
Yeah,
the
same angle, same everything, as though you had a laser pointer.
Oh, but it does follow with
Yeah.
you.
Okay. What does it feel like keeping your mind diagonally up?
You're off balance. If it's following me, it feels okay, but if I can't get it to follow me, I get really off balance.
I'm running another program while trying to do something else.
Yes.
Somewhere.
And bring it over your head and straight down into the middle of your body. What does that do? Brings you home. Okay. The other geometry of dissociation is, ever play with binoculars looking through the wrong end? Everything's far away. It can't reach me now. Walk around like that. Okay? Looking far and away. How does that feel? Stop for a moment. And how would I bring somebody back? The quickest, the easiest way is to go this way. And then you pay attention to that and you're home again. See what I mean? Yeah. Put your mind behind you. Okay. Here. What are you looking at now? You follow my mind, my fingers. Okay. How does that feel? You come back, I think. It takes tremendous concentration to resolutely stay behind yourself when I'm doing this.
It's still back there, but yes, in general, I agree.
If you're good, you can do it.
Yes.
And many people are very good at that. Okay. Questions? Pardon?
The more traumatized you are, the better at it you are.
That's
Yeah.
staying
Often.
dislocated.
Yeah, of course.
Yes, yeah.